Racing action on Tim's Corner Motorsports is presented by Pache Motors, the largest Ram truck dealer in Atlantic Canada. Browse their inventory online at pachemotors.com. Tranquility. Help for anxiety is only a click away. Learn more by visiting tranquility.app. Finish Line Vinyl Design, the official decal supplier of Tim's Corner Motorsports. Like them on Facebook at facebook.com/finishline vinyl design. And by CB Warren's Auto Care.
Hey, I'm CTWE wrestler The Mac.
And I'm Showtime Stevie Stamos.
Have you ever dreamed of owning your own race car and taking it out for a test drive? Well, thanks to our friends at Rent a Race Car, you can!
Visit www.rentaracecarne.com for all the details on how you can take one of these babies out to Stafford Motor Speedway. We'll see you at the races.
Touchdown!
Living with anxiety or depression can make everyday situations and interactions seem impossible, and getting the right help can be expensive and inconvenient. We're changing that with Tranquility. Our program follows the highly effective gold standard, cognitive behavioral therapy, which helps people change negative thoughts and unhelpful behaviors by teaching them skills to practice in real life. Using Tranquility is convenient. You can move at your own pace from your phone or computer, and you don't have to do it alone. Your one-on-one coach is there to help keep you motivated and supported all the way through. If you're ready to unlock the tools you need to approach the day with confidence, visit tranquility.app to sign up for a free trial.
Big fight feel here on Vidane TV. Friday night racing here at Southern National Motorsports Park, the Tim's Corner Motorsports Super Late Model 300. This is what we've been working on all week long. Had 3 nights of prelims. Last night was the last chance qualifying rumble. Lots of action every single night, and we are not going to disappoint here tonight. Friday night's all right for fighting, and that's okay with us. And as always, I am the host of Vidane TV, Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr., down in the production trailer, pushing all the buttons, doing all the replays, all that magical stuff, and getting trying to keep up with the social media content. So be sure to give us a like, a subscribe, all that good stuff. Let your friends know you're watching some racing here on Vidane TV. Up in the commentary booth, 3-man booth here tonight, Kyle Young is here, Denver Matchett is here, and making his way to the commentary booth, weighing in at pounds unknown.
Careful.
From somewhere up in Canada. I was supposed to look that up and I forgot. Canadian Hall of... I messed that up already. Canadian Hall of Fame. Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame. Dylan Langell returns to Vidane TV. Dylan, how you feeling tonight, man?
It's Canadian Motorsports Hall of Fame unofficially.
Easy enough for me to say. Easy enough for me to say.
Good Showtime, good Kyle, good Denver. Great to be back in the virtual announcer booth again for some iRacing. I've been working morning show radio all week, so I haven't been able to do this. I've been going to bed at 8:30, so I'm fired up, boys. We got 300 laps tonight, some of the best in iRacing in the Maritimes, Atlantic Canada, and even across the border down in the States. Kyle, any Americans going to put up a little bit of a fight to win this thing tonight?
Dylan, I absolutely believe so. Good evening, everybody. Welcome in. All week long, we have been working our way to this point. It is Friday night. It is finally time for the Tim's Corner Motorsports 300 here at the Southern National Motorsports Park. I know, Dylan, some of these American drivers, you may not be too familiar with them, but fortunately enough for you, you got this American right here that can kind of fill you in on some of the American talent that we got. Definitely want to keep your eye out on that 51 machine of John Peters. He is the defending New England, Pennsylvania Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series champion. I believe he currently has the points lead in that series. He is in this race tonight. He is a real-life super late model driver. He is going to be a contender without a doubt. Also need to make mention of Justin Fuller. He'll be starting at the back tonight. He decided to take the pole shuffle challenge. He's going to work his way from the back to try to come up to the front. He is a very experienced sim racer, a very talented sim racer, and one that will absolutely be in the mix throughout the event tonight. And somebody that is very close to him, the 41 machine of EJ O'Rourke. EJ is another very successful sim racer here in the iRacing world. He made it into tonight's event. Not usually one of the guys that races with this group of drivers, but he's made his presence known, and I have a feeling he's going to be a threat tonight too. Denver, glad to be working with you again tonight. A full night that we get to work together tonight, seeing that my tardiness last night kind of eluded us from doing that. Who do you have your eyes on tonight?
Well, there's a lot of guys that you really are going to have to keep your eye on tonight. How about Corey Hall? He was one of your winners on, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday night. Brad Eddy, Craig McDonald, all showed speed all week. Two guys I'm really going to keep my eye on are Danny Chisholm and Matthew Barkhouse. Two fast drivers, two fast cars. But for them, they had to earn their way in the hard way. It was the hooligan night last night, the last chance night, the Royal Rumble. They finished first and second to earn their way in. They got to start deep in the field. It's going to be fun to watch.
Boys, I'll tell you this, keep your eyes on the Riverside International Speedway anthem singer, Noel Fougier. He's on the pole. He sings the anthems at the racetrack, but on the virtual racetrack, man, he's fast, and he's on the pole for a reason. And for anyone watching, thanks for checking out Vidane TV and Tim's Corner Motorsports. You can see the starting lineup there at the top of the screen, including Noel Fougier and Corey Hall in the front row, Brad Eddy, Craig McDonald, Keith Mack Daddy. Got to represent our good buddy Mike James there. I wish he was here tonight. Where is he? I've been waiting for him all week. Keith McClellan in the 30 starting 5th. My buddy Kyle Gammon in 6th place. Mike Alexander, Magic Mike. John Peters, Kenny Gibby, Cameron Ballin, John Fitzpatrick, Stephen Matthews, my good buddy Nick Codner. And look at this, boys. We're going 300 laps tonight. The final race of this big week of iRacing.
Green flag has flown. The Tim's Corner Motorsports 300 is officially underway. 300 laps around this 4/10 mile short track, and we already have trouble. One car spinning around at the entry of turn number 3. That is the 64 machine of Kenny Kibbe. He got some help going into that turn, turned around backwards. He was collected by another car or two, but very early on in this one, guys, caution flag flies. Very minor incident. Doesn't look like there's much damage on the front end of that 64 machine, but obviously not the way he would want to start his night tonight.
Yeah, we'll take a look and see what happened here, Denver.
Yeah, so you see they're going down the backstretch, heading into turn number 3. Oh, just a little tag there. I believe that was the 67 to Cameron Bolin. A tough start. Something to note, we will hopefully not have to talk about this too much, but 65 incident points for drivers tonight. That should be plenty for a 300 lap race, but for a couple guys, they're not off to a great start. Lap 1. We're back under caution.
12 set of tires tonight, too, boys, for 300 laps. I mean, it's been a while since I've done the iRacing thing, but this is probably the longest race I'll be covering with Vidane TV. So a little bit of a longer race, but to cap off a fun week of iRacing, 300 laps, 12 sets of tires, and you mentioned there 65 incident points. Also want to give a shout out to Highway 311 Market in North River here in Nova Scotia, and the Turkeytown Mud Bog up in Bathurst, New Brunswick, chipping in on the show today, and we appreciate their support. And thank you if you're watching tonight. I know here in Atlanta, Canada, things are getting a little weird again with COVID, so we're happy you're staying the blazes home and checking out some iRacing again. It's great to be back with the crew again, and even with Showtime. It's been a while since we've talked in person, and you too, Kyle. We got some real racing in this summer, which is pretty nice, but it's nice to be back here on iRacing too.
Yeah, that's one of the exciting portions about this time of the year, Dylan, is that, and especially with the year that we've been through, where our real-world racing seasons were a bit delayed, a lot of people jumped over to the iRacing sim to get that fix in. Now that the seasons are starting to end, I think that this iRacing stuff is going to really start revamping up again, and I hope that it does, because it was a lot of fun at the beginning of the year, but now we can all really, truly enjoy it instead of having to stress about not being at the real racetrack like we were, about 5 or 6 months ago. Caution period is over. We're back to green flag racing. Noel Fougier will reassume his lead. He's not going to hang on to it for too long under green flag, though. We immediately go back to caution flag. The 30 machine of Keith McClellan got spun around in the center of turns 1 and 2. I saw the 098 of Kyle Gammon also getting involved there. Quick look here on my own. I think there may have been a little iRacing funkiness to go on with that one. Didn't see too much damage or any contact after the fact that Keith McClellan got spun around there, but slow start here to get things going.
Yeah, it looks like maybe a little bit of a help there from the 098 and maybe Craig McDonald. But again, it may have been a little bit of a lag there. So we'll have to kind of dial back there. Kyle Gammon maybe got a little bit in the back. So a couple of Maritimers all running into each other on the early get-go of this TCM Special Event Super Late Model 300 at the virtual Southern National Motorsports Park. We've been here all week virtually. You guys have. I've been watching on Tim's Corner and Vidane TV before I go to bed. 0.4 of a mile track, 17-degree bankings in the turn, 7 degrees on the straightaways. Been here a couple times for the Maritime Pro Stock Tour races we got in earlier this year. But now we've got some of the best in the Maritimes and in the States as well. And that's the really cool thing with iRacing, especially with this year. Not many Americans and Canadians can kind of intermingle on the racetrack, so we get to do it while we're on the internet tonight.
Just a little note on that first caution period, Corey Hall, the outside pole sitter, he went to the pit road, and he's now mired back in traffic. And another driver to watch, Justin Fuller, he is your pole challenge driver. He's already up to 18th on the heels of these early cautions. But yeah, it's been a great week of racing, and Southern Nationals really produced some wild racing as they look to be getting ready to double back up here. Couple cautions early on, but they're going to get this straightened out. We're going to get some green flag racing in here.
Couple of things we just forgot to quickly mention. Brandon Campbell stepped out. He stepped in to comment that I was here for a couple of minutes. And Matt Watson from Prince Edward Island decided to start at the back of the field. That's his strategy tonight, boys. He likes starting at the back, avoiding disaster at the front. And after 2 cautions, the pace lights are off that pace truck, and we're going to try this again. Brad Eddy on the outside, Noel Fougere on the inside, and the 36 green flag back out for this 300 lapper on lap 12. We'll see if we can get a full complete lap here, Kyle.
Fougere will clear into the race lead. Brad Eddy will fit in line in position number 2. Craig McDonald now just about clear of John Peters for that 3rd position. Peters will sacrifice that as they come off at turn number 4. He will now try to hold off the 75 machine of Mike Alexander down on the bottom. Those two stay side by side down the back straightaway. The rest of the field behind them still trying to fit in line and battling very nicely. To turn 4 this time by. 2 green flag laps are in, and now we're hopefully starting to develop a bit of a rhythm here.
The top 8 or so, they're getting into single file as the caution is back out again. Well, we got 2 laps in that time.
Yeah, we got 2 in.
I cursed it. I should have kept my mouth shut.
That appears to be the 4, Dylan Kopech maybe? Parked sideways on the front stretch.
Yeah, looking at the 4 car.
And we're going to have to get a look at the kick-ass beef jerky replay, hopefully, and see what exactly triggered that incident. The 3rd caution already as we work lap 16 under yellow.
Paul doing what he does best, getting things all situated for us over there in the production booth. And it did end up starting just a little bit in front of Dylan Kopech there. There was some contact with a couple of cars up in front. You're getting a look at it now. You can see that 51 machine going sideways. Kopech trying to check up to avoid it. He got collected in it. The car that spun around before him was the 51 machine of Justin Fuller, your pole shuffle driver. He got a little bit of a tap in the back end from the 26 machine of Kyle Boudreau. Spins Fuller around, and as mentioned, as Kopech was trying to check up to avoid the incident, he got collected in the rear end by, it appears to be the number 30 machine of Keith McClellan. So no big shots there. There was a fairly significant blower to the left rear for Justin Fuller from the front end of Dylan Kopech's machine, but still early on in this one, should be able to beat that all out and get back underway without any issues. Dylan, I do want to make one small correction. Well, I guess in reality it's a big correction that you had made. I believe that you meant to say 12 individual tires for this event. We have 3 sets of tires, not 12 sets of tires.
Oh, yeah.
To equal 12 individual tires.
I've been up since 3 in the morning, so I can completely understand why I said that. 12 individual tires, my mistake.
We'll let it slide, no harm, no foul. So for those following along at home, that is 1 set of tires that you get to start the race on and 2 extra sets in the pits. Throughout the entire week this week, we've had 1 extra set in the pits for the 100-lap main events during our preliminary nights. This is 3 times as long, so race officials decided to give them 1 extra set. So even still, though, Denver, 2 tire sets in the pits to manage a 300-lap race. It's going to be very impressive to see what these guys do with that.
Absolutely. Strategy going to be key. I think we really saw it last night, one of the last chance qualifiers when we had about a 30-lap green flag run. The tire fall off was impressive, up to half a second. So that could really play in tonight. When do you hit? When do you take the strategy? As the green flag back in the air, it's going to be Noel Fougere and Brad Eddy. As Mike Alexander looking to the inside of Eddy, going down the backstretch, he wants that 2nd spot as they barrel into turn number 3. Alexander to the inside, Eddy going to charge hard on the outside.
We gave him the name Magic Mike back in the spring because he can work his magic on these iRacing tracks, and he goes underneath Brad Eddy. That number 75 kind of looks like a mellow yellow can as he moves up to second place. Right behind him, right trailing behind, great move there. Looks like, just looking at my scoring here, Craig McDonald now weaseling his way into the third position. Up in front it is Noel Fougere. About 2 car lengths in between himself and Mike Alexander on lap 24.
Top 10 cars starting to single file out throughout the field, rim riding right around the bottom of the racetrack. We've seen throughout the week here, guys, that outside line does eventually start to groove in. Much different set of circumstances with this race. This event tonight, just strictly the 300 lapper. No heat races, no qualifying, nothing along the lines of that. Straight up main event feature, and we're already seeing some incredible action up front as Mike Alexander muscles his way around Noel Fougere to take over the race lead, and now Fougere is stuck on that top side trying to find a way to get back down on the bottom.
Alexander wanted the lead, and he wanted it right then. Mike Alexander is now your leader as Craig McDonald slides into second place, and Brad Eddy looks to follow suit. Fougere on the outside of a freight train. He hopefully will be able to get him behind, as that would be the 51 of John Peters that is looking to follow suit. A little farther back, Danny Chisholm. He was one of the drivers from the Last Chance last night. He was the winner. He has worked his way up into the top 6, running P6 and on the charge early. He's looking to join in on this battle up front.
Danny's fast in a Legends car, and he's fast here in the super late model on iRacing. I swear that move by Mike Alexander to Noel Fougere, you could have sworn it was lap 299. Getting it done here in the 20s here of this 300 lapper, and Noel has been falling back the entire time. Now Peters makes a pass on the inside. And we're seeing that, boys. That second lane is just not developing at this moment. The rubber's not sticking to the road, really. And once you get knocked out of the inside line, the preferred line, you're going to be falling towards the back, and even Danny Chisholm is slowly starting to catch up. How about Newfoundland's Nick Codner also starting to work his way up? He's in 7th right now, and a train of race cars right behind the young Newfoundland driver as he is starting to charge his way through the field.
Working his way up through nicely, already up 6 positions from his 13th place starting spot here in the opening 31 circuits. He's got a bit of room to work with right now. He is looking at about a second back to 8th place driver Aiden Christensen, and currently about half a second behind that 87 machine of Danny Chisholm. So Nick Conner doing a great job putting himself in a good position to try to learn and see where he can do better. Lots of very strong and fast competitors up in front of him, drivers that have had a lot of success throughout this week thus far. Caution flag has flown for the 3rd time though here, guys. Trying to see here very quickly who we have in trouble. I believe we have more problems for the 51 machine with Justin Fuller, and that does appear to be the case out of turn number 4.
That is a tough break for the driver who took the pole challenge. He was, fast all week, took the pole challenge, and, that's kind of the gamble that you take when you take those challenges. Is we're going to get a look at the kick-ass beef jerky instant replay. I believe that's Matt Watson he was looking to get, and there's the
Stephen Matthews.
Stephen Matthews. Right into, Mike James isn't here, but he would call that the stank barrier, and that's going to draw the caution.
Oh boy, tough go. So that's caution 3 of this 300 lapper on lap 35. If you're watching on Tim's Corner Motorsports or on Vidane TV, I love seeing the check-ins on Facebook. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know who you're rooting for on this Friday night, and heck, maybe even let us know what you're drinking tonight. It's a Friday night in November. It's not freezing cold here in Nova Scotia, but I'm also in my apartment, and we're virtually down in Virginia here at Southern National Motorsports Park, which is pretty sweet. Mike Alexander's got the lead on the early get-go after a little bump and run to Noel Fougere. Noel a little further back in the field, and as we'll double up again here, he's going to have some quick work to really stay on the inside lane to keep her there, Kyle.
Yeah, I know Fougere struggled once Alexander got to the inside, dropped all the way back to position number 5, couldn't find a way to get in, but now for this upcoming restart, he will have that inside line, so that's good news for Fougere for the moment. As we mentioned, plenty of time left to go for Fougere to work his way back through. He really shouldn't be too much unfamiliar with the move that Mike Alexander put on him. That was a very similar move to what Fougere put on Brad Eddy in their qualifying prelim night to take the win in the 100 lap feature event. gentlemanly Canadian discussion afterwards. They exchanged apologies and good words, so I don't believe that there's any bad blood to worry about throughout this race tonight, but just kind of interesting to see Fougere on the opposite side of it when he was giving it just a few nights earlier.
As they head into turn 3 and 4, the pace truck's going to pull pit side, and the green flag back in the air, and Alexander is on the charge into turn number 1. McDonald going to slide into second place as the battle now. Eddie into third, so the battle's going to be for fourth. Noel Fougere and John Peters are going to go side by side. Fougere has a fast car. He wants to get back to the front. He knows he's got a shot to win this race. And Danny Chisholm looking to follow suit as they are racing hard throughout just outside the top 5 towards mid-pack.
Mike Alexander didn't make any real racing starts in 2020, stuck with the iRacing this year, and he's got a little bit of a lead in front of Craig McDonald, who is now in second. Last time I saw Craig McDonald, he did very, very well up in Sydney, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, winning a few Legends races at the Sydney Speedway. Brad Eddy, handful of starts in some pro stocks and a couple of sportsman races as well. He's sitting in third place. A little further back and drifting away from Craig. Craig is really good in these iRace events, and we'll see if he can maybe notch another win. He got a handful of them earlier in the year. We'll see if he can bookend 2020 with a handful of TCM iRacing wins. On lap 43 of 400, he's about 2 car lengths behind Mike Alexander, but this is a very long race. There's lots of time to prep your car, and we've got the 12 tires, Kyle. You've got some chances to kind of wear them out and see what you got, but by the end, and now we're going to have a caution here, you don't want to use up everything on the beginning of the race.
No, you really don't. You would think that having 3 sets of tires throughout a 300 lapper, that at first glance it may sound like a lot, but it's really not. You only have 2 sets in the pits. You really have to figure out how you want to manage that strategy going throughout the entirety of this race. Turn 4 seems to be the hotbed for action tonight thus far, guys. Another incident over there to bring this caution flag out. It does involve the 67 of Cameron Bolin once again. Unfortunately for him, he was on the receiving end of the contact this time, and it came at the hands of the front bumper of Paul Strickland's pick, the number 7 machine at Corey Casagrande. We're going to get things pulled up on the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky instant replay. You can see driving down into turn number 3, just a little bit of a contact between the 7 and the 67. Spins bowling around it, no contact with the outside wall, no contact with any other driver. So fortunately for him, it's just a quick little spin around and it rejoined the field. Both drivers will be sent to the end of the line for involvement. No fault system being used tonight for cautions. If you are involved in the cause of the caution, whether you were the guilty party or the innocent one, you go to the back no matter what happens. Keeps things fairly easy for those that are trying to officiate this race and keep it running smooth. And as you can see right there, Dylan Kopech will go around the pace car. He will be the recipient of the free pass. That will put all 30 of our starters back on the lead lap tonight.
They're 47, 48 laps into this one, and all 30 still on the lead lap. That's pretty impressive as they are starting to double up. We'll have another lap or 2 under caution. But so far, Mike Alexander to the lead. What a move he made there on Noel Fougere a little bit ago. That was, like you said, Kyle, a little bit like the other night when they made a little contact between himself and Brad Eddy in that final green-white checkered. But definitely some good hard racing early on in this race, but how hard do you want to push early? It's only about a sixth of the way through this race. There's a lot of racing left to go in this one.
The thing is, you don't know how the race will go. It could go caution-free, which is a little hard in iRacing sometimes, but you don't know how it's going to go. You want to be up the front the entire time, and Mike knew he saw a chance using a little bit of the chrome horn to move him out of the way. Took his chance, and oh, not a good restart by the 75. Green flag back out. I don't know if he was trying to hold up the 72 of Brad Eddy on that restart, but it's bunched up the field, and Ashton Tucker spun out in turn 2, and that may bunch the field up, and it will bring out a caution. Not a huge wreck there in turn 2, but that kind of started on the restart there when Mike Alexander didn't fire off right away.
Actually had a couple different incidents there for Paul to take a look at. We had the 2 machine of Ashton Tucker get around, and at the same time, the 14 machine of Andrew Rogers also got collected by the 38 machine of Travis Roma. So a couple incidents here bringing out the caution flag for the 4th time, I believe now. Got the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky instant replay pulled up. You can see in the center of turns 1 and 2, just ever so slight contact between the 144 of Aiden Christensen and the 2 machine of Ashton Tucker, sends the 2 sliding around. Fortunately, Christensen was able to use the front end of his car to kind of save Ashton a little bit, get that car pointed in the right direction, but unfortunately it was not quick enough to keep the yellow flag in its holster. Caution flag came out, and then behind them simultaneously a pretty similar incident happening with the 14 machine of Andrew Rogers, and well, it actually started a 3-wide move going into turn number 3. The 27, Matt Watson, was in the middle. Andrew Rogers was on the outside. They met going into 1. Rogers slid up the racetrack. Travis Roman nowhere to go. Slight contact with the door, and Rogers slid up to the outside wall. So a couple minor incidents there to bring the caution flag back out. So far, we've seen a little bit of yellow fever here in the opening 6th of this race, but nothing too severe just yet, guys. So that's playing factor into why all 30 of our starters are still on the lead lap.
Denver, you know the success of Ashton Tucker this year here in the Maritimes. Well, I would say arguably the best driver in the Maritimes in 2020.
Yeah, it's hard to deny the stats. He picked up 4 feature victories in Pro Stock competition, highlighted by the Remax East Coast Elite Pro Stock 250 for the 2nd year in a row at Speedway 660. Bubble Buster win, a couple other wins at 660, and then 4 second-place finishes. So he had 9 starts. He had 4 wins, 4 seconds, and then let him forget about Riverside. That was not so pretty. As we're getting ready to go back green, what kind of a restart are we going to see this time? The last one got messy in a hurry. Mike Alexander, he's not going to wait this time. He is on the hammer going into turn 1. What a jump he got, and that's going to allow Craig McDonald to slide back into 2nd place. As Danny Chisholm to the inside, looking for position number 4 from Noel Fougier. Looks like he's going to get it. Still side by side as they go down the front stretch. They're going to battle hard for that one. As a little farther back, Tucker is side by side with the 97 of Riley Duncan. Some great racing here on this restart as they come off a 4 down the front stretch.
Mike Alexander was not messing around in that restart. He got a great shot out of the cannon on the entry of the front stretch, and now he's got a little bit of a lead there in front of Craig McDonald. Watching this battle, Ashton Tucker and the 97 Riley Duncan, a couple of New Brunswickers battling it out here on the front stretch, and right in front of them, trying to get away from that little bit of a battle, John Peters and Nick Cotter, as they start to pull away from the 97 on that outside lane. Outside lane will take a little bit of a time to develop, so that's where the 97 doesn't really want to be at this point on lap 60 of 300, Kyle.
He doesn't want to be there, but he's doing a good job of holding his own on the outside of Ashton Tucker right now. Just can't quite find enough to surpass that 2 machine on the bottom line. Throughout this week, we have seen that middle groove become a factor. It's going to take some time tonight, seeing that this is the only event that we have going on the racetrack at the moment. But I do feel confident that eventually we'll see this racetrack widen out, and we'll get some good competitive racing from that outside line. You can see that Duncan has lost the battle for that position with Ashton Tucker. The 34 machine, the Rev Racing entry by Mike Rhino, is underneath of Duncan now to try to take another position away. Looks like he's going to do so, coming off at turn number 4. Riley's got a small hole. He's trying to fill it. John Fitzpatrick was trying to do the same thing, but Duncan will win out. Corey Hall will get around John Fitzpatrick, and now the 83 machine of Chris Roma is trying to get around the outside of Fitzpatrick.
How about Corey Hall? He had to pit on the opening caution with brake issues. He was at the back of the pack and now has charged his way up, because it looked like he might have tagged the wall down the backstretch. A little Southern National stripe. We've seen lots of those this week. But Hall on the move. He is going to look for a top 10 position here to the outside of Riley Duncan, but not so fast. Caution on the speedway.
We'll get the kick-ass beef jerky replay fired up here. I got to try some of that stuff if it's kick-ass stuff. But another caution that's not exactly kick-ass. Kyle, what happened? What brought up the caution?
So another case of just 2 guys fighting for the same piece of real estate on the racetrack. It happened over in turns 1 and 2, involving the 41 machine of E.J. O'Rourke and also the 124 of Aiden Christensen. Getting things pulled up here on the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky instant replay as they work their way out of turn 4 and down into turn number 1. 41 machine starting to gap that 124, but Christensen just overdrove the entry, started sliding that race car, and unfortunately for E.J. O'Rourke, he was the brake pedal that Aiden Christensen was needing. Spins that number 41 Pontiac Grand Prix around and losing out on a couple of positions. Didn't hit anything, nobody collected him, so he spun that car quickly back around and was able to rejoin the back of the field. Now you can see he is making his way on the pit road. Could potentially be strapping on an extra set of tires that are down there in the pits after that spin. Of course, spinning the car out is going to increase the tire wear, so not necessarily something that you want to do too many times. Nope, it looks like he's going to keep it all on the ground, just beat out the door panel just a little bit, try to get that car repaired up, and he'll dart back out onto the racetrack to rejoin the field.
This TCM Special Event brought to you by Highway 311 in North River. Great antique market if you're looking for something to spruce up your home this winter. Also by the Turkeytown Mud Bog. Sure, they got some great events lined up for 2021 in Bathurst, New Brunswick. Pace lights turned off, the iRacing pace truck. Mike Alexander back out in front, and he gets out in front of Craig McDonald, restarting on lap 69, and now into 70 as McDonald actually wiggles a little bit there in the middle of 1 and 2, falls back a little bit. Brad Eddy side by side with Danny Chisholm, the battle for third.
Keep your eye on that 80. Oh boy, we got trouble right behind that 87. Great save by the 36 of Fougere. Him and Codner made contact. They're still making contact behind him with Riley Duncan and Corey Hall. Somehow, everybody has miraculously been able to keep their cars pointed in the right direction. We stay green. Great piece of driving by all those guys right there.
Absolute chaos in the middle of the pack. Unbelievable saves, and we stay green as the top front have broken away, led by Mike Alexander. He took the lead from Noel Fougere. No one has been able to touch him since. Craig McDonald, Brad Eddy are hot on his trail as we got a battle brewing just outside the top 5. Ashton Tucker to the outside. Looks like he's going to get the freight train by Noel Fougere and Mike Rhino. Oh, Tucker maybe a bit of neck code there. Not the best internet up there in Littleton, but he's looking to regroup as we got some cars. They're bouncing off the walls. They go down the backstretch into turn number 3.
Yeah, Ashton's been flickering a little bit on and off here, so we'll have to keep an eye on his internet. But charging like a rhino is Mike Rhino. He's working his way through the field. Right now, he's behind your pole sitter for this 300-lap event, Noel Fougere. Noel has been drifting back steadily after he got the bump and run from Magic Mike Alexander a little earlier in this race, and I'm sure Noel is probably a little frustrated. You start up front, you're having a good little start to the race with a couple of cautions, and one move just throws you back a few positions. Now he's trying to fend off the 34 car with Ashton Tucker and Nick Codner right behind after that. A freight train of cars. A little bit of a gap between Noel Fougere and the car directly in front of him right now, which is John Peters, as we're swapping positions all around the track here on lap 78. And now maybe move now from Rhino gives a little bit of a bumper to Noel Fougere.
Yeah, it looks like Mike Rhino is starting to grow a little bit impatient with that 36 machine. He tried to get underneath, but was not able to do so. Successful behind them, though, was that 54 machine of Nick Codner. He is underneath of Ashton Tucker as they drive down into turn number 1. He's all but clear. Tucker trying to hang on that right rear corner panel as they go down the back straightaway, but not going to be able to do it for too long. Codner will clear here. Now Riley Duncan goes on to the attack and trying to get underneath the number 2 machine to take another position away. And right behind those guys, how about that, guys? The 51 of Justin Fuller, he has recovered nicely from a couple early incidents. He is going to look to try to continue the freight train going around the 2 machine of Tucker and enter the top 10 for the first time here tonight.
How about that for Fuller? He started at the outhouse, working his way towards the penthouse, into the top 10 with that move on Ashton Tucker, and it's not looking good for Tucker as the caution comes out. That's going to save him. He was about to get passed by the 30, and looks like another incident on the backstretch this time, possibly the 27 involved. We'll take a look at the kick-ass beef jerky instant replay and see exactly what happened. That doesn't look so good for the 26. No. He's that's definitely not how the car is supposed to drive.
No, it looks like it's quite out of a line there, Denver. So we'll see here. And I think I maybe saw a car, maybe car flipped over. Kyle, did we see a little flip over in the backstretch here?
Just about from that 26 to Kyle Boudreau, you can see the contact there between himself and the 27 of Matt Watson. Watson slid for a while going through turn number 2, and unfortunately for Boudreau, karma got him immediately. Watson overcorrects, makes contact with the 26 of Boudreau, sending Boudreau hard into the outside wall. He climbed it with the right side of that race car, and as you can see the result, crab walking all the way around this racetrack since. That is a very, very unfortunate ordeal for the 26 of Kyle Boudreau. Something worth mentioning here for this event, we see it with a few of our races here on Vidane TV. Not the case in this event, no fast repairs. So all that damage that you see on that 26 machine of Boudreau's car, he's going to have to repair on his own in the pit. So this is going to make for a very long evening for him, and that's already the second incident that he has caused in tonight's 300 lapper.
Denver, I got to ask you, did Wade Wilson teach you a couple of those cute lines you used a couple minutes ago, going from the outhouse to the penthouse?
That was the John O'Shea special, actually.
John O'Shea.
The John O'Shea special, yeah. Not quite as good as crooked as a question mark. I'm sure we'll hear that one still to come later on.
Oh, don't you worry. I've got it lined up here in the ammo belt as we're on lap 86. Pace lights are off, and Danny Chisholm starting in fourth, already trying to peer on the outside. Maybe Mike Alexander, another magical restart as we restart this 300 lapper at Southern National Motorsports Park. Brad Eddy on the inside of Craig McDonald, and Craig's able to get inside, slam in front of the 72 car. Kind of looks like Brad's car's going to be styled after Junior Hanley's car, which is pretty cool, of course, sharing the 72 number. And Danny Chisholm on the outside lane, that's not preferred at the moment. Looks like the number 51 of John Peters able to work his way on the bottom and move up to fourth position, Kyle.
Great battle between two very competitive drivers, John Peters and Danny Chisholm. Chisholm gets just a touch sideways coming out of turn number 2. He's able to recover without making contact with that 51 machine, keeping this battle fairly even and continuous. Lap after lap, neither one of these drivers giving an inch. Peters will have the advantage going down the back straightaway. Will he clear? He will. Chisholm finds the hole. He backs out and drops in line. He doesn't want to be a freight train of his own. We've seen that happen already a few times in this race, so he finds the hole and drops down. Just a couple cars back, Nick Codner and Noel Frugier are side by side as they battle for position number 7.
The battle between Chisholm and Peters allowed the top 3 to break away. Now they're going to go to work and try to close in. As you see right there, Alexander getting a challenge from the 98 of Craig McDonald. McDonald seems pretty content just to apply some pressure and try to force Alexander into a mistake here early on in this one. Of course, the only lap that pays the big money is lap 300 as they go down the backstretch. The top 2 now breaking away from Brad Eddy ever so slightly as Peters looks to be closing the gap just a little bit with Danny Chisholm in tow as the caution comes out. And I can't see exactly what car that was, but there was an incident on the front stretch.
It involved the 41 machine of E.J. O'Rourke. He finds trouble once again. Also involved in this one is the 83 machine of Corey Hall. We'll get Paul to rewind it for us on the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky instant replay. And you can see coming off at turn number 4, O'Rourke, well, he may have gotten just a little bit sideways there coming off at turn 4, and Corey Hall wasn't able to react to it in time. The two made contact, and O'Rourke slides down to the inside wall, just barely avoids making contact with that inside wall, but unfortunately does go for another spin. I see the field went around him there, and it does look like he got trapped behind the pace car. So E.J. O'Rourke is one lap down, being involved in the incident. He will have to go tail, so that is a lap that he is going to keep behind the field. He'll have to wait for another caution flag opportunity to get back on the lead lap.
And a tough break for O'Rourke in the 41. Just about a third of the way through this TCM Special Event Super Late Model 300, the main event. After we've had some big racing Monday through Thursday, but it's all come down to tonight. And Denver, we were just talking just a moment ago about how you're not getting the big money on lap 90, 92. It's all about lap 300, but there is a little bit of money on the line tonight. And that could buy a couple cases of beer, maybe pay a power bill or two. I know these guys tonight are going to be gunning for the big bucks, and you want to be out in front the entire time. Craig McDonald's already showing, got a fast 98 machine. It's just a matter of time before he decides to use it fully and try and stay up front.
Yeah, for sure. How much have these guys been saving here in the early running? You know, It's a long race. You know, they got some sets of tires, but up front they're biding their time. McDonald's trying to let Alexander know he's got something for him as we're going to get ready for the restart this time. What is Alexander going to do this time? He's going to get another great launch. Wow, that was probably one of the better launches we've seen as McDonald barely gets down in front of Brad Eddy. And they're going to go side by side for third place, it looks like, as Peters looks to make the charge. Not quite. Now Chisholm looking to get the spot back from Peters on the inside, coming down the front stretch into turn number 1.
Nearly had another caution flag there, guys. Justin Fuller almost got turned around. He was able to gather it up. He loses a handful of positions, but we stay green flag. Danny Chisholm will complete the pass on John Peters for that 4th position. The majority of your top 10 single file at the moment. The first side-by-side battle is going on for position number 10 between Keith McClellan and Justin Fuller. Fuller trying to get back up those positions that he lost off of that slide. He's inside of that familiar-looking Bud Light number 30 and completes the pass going into turn number 1 to put Justin Fuller back inside the top 10, and Keith McClellan falls one spot out in 11th.
The nice thing about a long race like this, boys, there's a lot of race left to go, about 198, 197 laps. There will be some pit stops as well, as you mentioned, Kyle. 2 extra sets of tires, whether you choose to use all 2 of them. Maybe you take 1 set, you gamble and try and hope that there's a lot of cautions where you can save up your tires. At the moment, we've got a little bit of a 4-car breakaway with Magic Mike Alexander, Craig McDonald, Brad Eddy, and Danny Chisholm all in trail and in 5th place right now. A little further back is John Peters, but John, I'm not too familiar with him, Kyle, but he's holding his own at this moment with Nick Conner in 6th place. I think a smart strategy for that number 51 car of Peters is to kind of lay back a little bit very early on, kind of gauge what you got for your car, and just try to hope that nothing happens in front of you where you get tangled up and wreck your car.
It kind of seems to be how it is for John Peters in the majority of the races that we see with him. He's usually either right up at the front, right from the get-go, or he quietly and methodically works his way into contention. And I think that's what we're seeing out of him right now in this race. He's been inside the top 5, just outside of it for the whole way thus far. Hasn't really made a bunch of noise with the leaders up in front, but like you said, it could be trying to conserve those tires, trying to figure out his tire strategy. We are less than 50 laps away from the halfway mark, so everything going on right now with that 51 machine, trying to figure out what he needs to do to put himself in the best position. While you were mentioning that, Dylan, I kept watching back on Justin Fuller. I think I found out who got into Fuller and almost caused him to spin around, because boy did he use up that 36 machine of Noel Fougere to get on by him, and Fougere has not recovered. He's lost a handful of positions since then. He got into the back of him 2 or 3 times, doored him as he was coming off of turn number 4 to solidify the spot, and now Fougere has a place to fit in behind the 38 of Travis Roma. That is in 13th place. Now Fougere will have an opportunity to collect his thoughts and figure out how to get back to the front of the field. Remember, he was the pole sitter for this race. The caution flag has flown once again. Starting to see some tempers get a little bit heated up, and guys, I don't know about you, that just makes me all excited. I love it with short track racing, but we got some problems on the backstretch with the 14 of Andrew Rogers and the 198 of Stephen Matthews.
Tempers? Racing? No.
On a short track, nonetheless. Who would think that people would get mad on a short track?
Kyle, that is fake news. Stop talking about that.
Call me CNN, because I'm spreading fake news, boys.
I don't know much about iRacing, but Dylan, do you think we can see some virtual fire extinguishers go flying through the air tonight?
Oh, I think a virtual helmet may go flying too.
That would be awesome.
So my buddy Stephen Matthews tangled up again in another wreck, Kyle. Let's see what happened here.
Yeah, they come off at turn number 2. You see Andrew Rogers is sideways with professional Richard Drake, and it looks like Matthews was the innocent victim in this one. Rogers got sideways while battling for that position, and unfortunately for Stephen Matthews, he wasn't able to catch that slide soon enough, and it got collected by the 14 of Rogers. The 2 of them come to rest on the inside wall, made a little contact with each other afterwards, but they get going, and you can see some chewed-up fenders on both of those machines.
Stephen Matthews, a lightning driver at Scotia Speedway, driving his 198 Dodge Neon. Made a start at Speedway Miramichi this year, Denver. He liked the track. He described it as a cheese grater, though, but he enjoyed his time up in the Miramichi area.
That definitely be the most accurate way to describe Speedway Miramichi. A cheese grater you can maybe throw in the mix of a hockey rink. Definitely a unique track, to say the least, with the 52-year-old asphalt that's seen a lot of demolitions over the years, but tough break from Matthews. And he's always a fierce competitor, and good thing is he's still got about 185 laps to get back towards the front. Long ways to go in this one, boys. There's anything can happen yet.
One thing I was going to mention, Kyle, before the caution came out, Mike Alexander and the leaders were about to catch up to lap traffic, which you never know what can happen there. So they were probably a lap and a half away as the cone gets knocked on the track. I don't know if that's do they keep going around if the cone gets knocked on the track there, Kyle? I don't know, but they were about to catch up to lap traffic. It didn't happen. We're going to restart again, and I guess we keep the cone on the track.
Something to worth mention there, the reason why that cone was knocked out was because Danny Chisholm and EJ O'Rourke were trying to rush their way back out onto the racetrack. They did not succeed in that, so both of them have lost a lap, so that puts EJ O'Rourke, now he's still one lap down, but also Danny Chisholm, somebody who we were talking about inside the top 5 of this event, he made a pit stop. Now he is one lap down in 27th place. He's got a few cars he needs to pass in order to get into position for the free pass, so that's one thing these guys have to also manage here during this race. This is a very short racetrack. These caution laps are not long. If you are not careful, you will lose a lap on pit road, and that's what happened to Danny Chisholm right there.
For Danny now, it's got to be about keeping calm, being patient. You know, there is opportunities to get that lap back, but you can't make the situation worse for yourself. And that is easier said than done. As up front, Mike Alexander's on the chart, and you take, Dylan just mentioned it, if we get too long of a green flag run, they will start to get into lap traffic. If you're stuck at the back of the field, you could be in trouble.
It's been a saving grace for the guys at the back of the pack because there has been so many cautions so far in this 300-lap Tim's Corner Motorsports Special Event brought to you by Highway 311 and Turkeytown Mud Bog. And Mike Alexander, he's got a whole lot of Craig McDonald in his mirror on lap 122. We're not even near the halfway point at this point, but Craig is showing to Mikey, hey, I'm right here. I've got a whole lot of race car for you. Don't know when I'm going to use it, but I've got it for you. And Mike and Craig will at least have to make one pit stop probably for tires. I imagine they're not chewing up the entire set so far, but Craig is starting to kind of stick his nose on the exit of some turns here, Kyle.
If I remember correctly, I believe a few weeks ago it was the RBR Maritime iRacing Series race at the Myrtle Beach Speedway. We saw Mike Alexander in a similar position that we see him in right now. He took the lead early on. We had a lengthy green flag run, and as that run progressed, he started to fall off a little bit, and some of his competitors behind him did a better job at saving their tires. That could be the case that we see right now with Craig McDonald. We're $1:25 in at the moment. He has not been to pit road, neither has Craig McDonald, and McDonald is really starting to crank up the intensity knob just a little bit, starting to really make his presence known behind that 75 machine. McDonald's had a pretty quiet week. He qualified very easily through his prelim night with a solid top 5 finish in his feature event. He's been good so far here tonight, and now he'll have another opportunity to try that outside line because the caution flag has flown. We have one car in trouble on the front stretch, and that would be the 7CT machine of Corey Casagrande. Corey got into this event due to the promoter's provisional, started scratched on the field, and looks like he's got crossed up a little bit there with Aiden Christensen and made some problems. But we got some excitement at the front of the field here, guys. We've got our front contenders on pit road: Mike Alexander, John Peters, Craig McDonald, Brad Eddy, Keith McClellan. First major pit stop for our front runners on pit road right now.
Yeah, this is prime opportunity for the leaders to get a pit stop. That may have been a perfect time for the 7 of Casagrande to spin out for a guy like Mike Alexander or a guy like Brad Eddy, Craig McDonald. So we'll see who stays at the front and who stays out on this restart on another caution here for the TCM Special Event Super Late Model 300. Little Friday night short track racing here on iRacing. And man, we'll see who's maybe out in front. It looks like maybe Mike's brother, Matt Barkhouse, is going to be starting out in front of this restart.
It's going to shuffle the deck big time, and this is, Travis Roma was sideways coming into the pits, or going into the pits possibly. But this is where it gets really fun. You got different strategies. You got drivers with old tires up front and fresh tires in the back. This is where patience really comes into play. Who can keep calm, who can make their way methodically through the field. This is about to be one of the most exciting runs we've seen, and I don't know how long we'll get under green, but if it goes green for a while, it's going to be really fun watching some of these drivers come charging through the field. As I'm looking at the timing sheet, and it says Craig McDonald and Mike Alexander are both scored 1 lap down. Well, what a development on their pit stop.
As I mentioned, as we just went back to green flag that previous time, you got to be careful on pit road. If you stay in there too long, you may get trapped a lap down, and it looks like that is what may have happened with the 75 of Mike Alexander and the 98 of Craig McDonald. So we'll see how things shuffle up here. John Peters is also being shown a lap down too, guys. So Mike Rhino, the same boat. So these guys got to be careful here. They've got some time to recover from it, but now they've dug themselves a hole that is going to be difficult to dig out of. Before we get to green flag here, guys, just want to make a quick mention, since we were able to get a replay of that, Aiden Christensen has been disqualified from the event. This current caution was his third involved caution, so that will park him for the remainder of this Tim's Corner Motorsports 300 event. He is going to be credited with a 29th place finish. The only other car that is not still circulating around the racetrack is that 26 of Kyle Boudreau. We saw him a little while ago attempt to climb the backstretch wall. The damage that he suffered from that event, too severe for him. He has retired, so we have 28 of our 30 starters on the racetrack as we're 17 laps away from halfway.
So either 3 incidents or 65 incident points will give you the boot, give you the you're done for the night, enjoy a couple of beers and watch it on Tim's Corner or Vidane TV. Green flag back out, and Matthew Barkhouse is in front after some pit stops during that caution. Noel Fougier again was starting second right away. He is getting some pressure from Chris Roma now in the 83 car, Kyle Gammon in the 098, and Kenny Kibbe in the 64 in the top 5 too.
The joys of this pit strategy is you get to see some new names up towards the front of the field they haven't talked much about. Hang on, Riley Duncan almost got turned around right there by the 72 of Brad Eddy. He was able to recover, so no harm, no foul there. Chris Roma, as you just mentioned, Dylan, up into position number 2. Kenny Kibbe, we see him in the top 5 for the first time tonight after being involved in the very first caution on the opening lap of this 300-lap race. He is now inside the top 5, looking for a 4th place. Well, actually, I think Kyle Gammon's trying to take that position away. Those two are battling side by side. John Fitzpatrick just outside of that battle at the moment. So seeing some new names up here, it'll be fun to see what they decide to do with their tire strategy as we continue to progress through this race.
Absolutely, tire strategy is going to be fun to continue to watch, and the developments of the drivers stuck a lap down, the drivers up front. So much going on here as we are approaching the halfway point in this one, but it's all Matthew Barkhouse up front. Chris Roma was a little faster that last time around. He's going to look to close the gap, as is the early leader and pole sitter, Noel Fougier. Some of the drivers really looking to charge to the field. You see Brad Eddy back in the top 10, Justin Fuller. These guys, I believe they were all on pit road with the rest, so they're going to look to work their way back up to the front, but they still got some heavy traffic to get through and some cars with some older tires.
So looking through timing and scoring, Denver, our leader right now, Matthew Barkhouse, has made a pit stop. Noel Fougier and Chris Roma have not made a trip down to pit road, so they'll eventually have to stop and get some tires, whether they come down 2 times to get both sets or gamble on the worn down tires by the end. All we know is that Matthew Barkhouse has fresh tires, not as fresh as Brad Eddy, who did not go a lap down on that pit cycle. So he's going to be having his way as he tries and charges through the field. He's got a little bit of traffic in front. Oh, Fitzpatrick is crooked as a question mark there in turn 2. Straightens it out, though, on the backstretch. Man, what a save by the Islander, number 78, John Fitzpatrick.
Justin Fuller getting aggressive with that front bumper again, trying to make the move around the 78 machine, was not able to do so. He's lining up to the inside, makes a great dive down into turn number 3, and quick work of the 78 of Fitzpatrick will put Justin Fuller inside the top 5 for the very first time tonight. We'll remind you again that Justin Fuller took the pole shuffle challenge tonight. He was supposed to start, I believe, 3rd place in tonight's feature event, but was the first amongst the top runners to decide to take the extra money to go to the back. And we've got some extra contact and a spin with the 97. Riley Duncan collected on the front straightaway. We saw him get sideways there off of turn number 4 in the background. He was not able to recover, and he has a meeting with the outside wall going into turn number 1. looks like, oh yeah, we got a couple other cars collected in that as well.
Brad Eddy, Gammon also collected in there for the kick-ass beef jerky replay there, Kyle. Yeah, I kind of caught it, so you can see Brad Eddy, he's got the fast tires, he's got those new tires on. Looks like maybe, okay, so Duncan maybe shoved the 78 up the track, and then Brad Eddy made some contact with Duncan after that. A little bit of a hodgepodge. What an aversion there by Danny Chisholm to get around, along with the 51 car, to get around all that big wreck in front of them. That could have been a disaster for a few of the drivers here in the early get-go, not even at the halfway point.
Something that's going to be very interesting to watch through this caution as well here, guys, is that the battle for the free pass was going on right in the middle of that crash. Now, the way that iRacing works is if you collect incident points involved in a caution, you don't get the free pass award. So we'll have to pay attention to Danny Chisholm and John Peters if either of them will get it, or if it's going to transfer down to the 34 machine of Mike Rhino, or if it may not even give it to anybody if either of those drivers are not eligible. So we'll have to pay attention to that. Also want to make mention, I just saw that Corey Casagrande made a post in the text chat. I think this was separate. He had a pretty vicious shot. I still don't even think I said that right. Into the outside wall in turn number 3. Separate from this incident, he hit it hard going in there and has a lot of damage to that number 7 machine. Steam was blowing out the front end. He's on pit road. He's going to have a lengthy repair on that machine, and that may knock him out of tonight's 300-lap event.
I mean, Kyle, it looks like his pit crew just kind of standing there chit-chatting like it's a Friday night at the local pub.
Yeah, you're getting a look at it here on the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky instant replay contact between him and Cameron Bullen. Big shot to that outside wall. And as you can see here, no safer barriers at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Lots of damage. I can accurately report now that Corey Casagrande has dropped the window net. He has climbed out. He is done for the evening. So he will join Aiden Christensen and Kyle Boudreau as our third retiree of this event. So unfortunate for Corey, started scratch on the field tonight, had a few prior run-ins before this incident that knocks him out. And unfortunately for Paul, he will not win our little pick'em challenge because Corey Casagrande is done for the night.
Well, look who's up to second place after that caution and pit stops. It's Justin Fuller, the pole challenge driver. So this will be fun to watch on the restart.
Yeah, it will, Denver. That's pretty cool. As we've crossed over the halfway point, lap 152 of 300. Green flag back out, Matthew Barkhouse. A little bit of a slip and slide there, and here comes the outside move from Justin Fuller, working his way around some of the top cars. Nick Codner, Ashton Tucker battling for the third position. Stephen Matthews also mixed in there as well. A little bit of a shakeup there at the front of the field as we are cycling through some pit stops, Kyle.
Justin Fuller chasing some bonus money tonight. This race is $100 to win. If I'm remembering everything that Tim Terry told me yesterday, the pole shuffle was a $40 reward if he was able to come all the way back through and win this race tonight. It's an extra $40, so he is looking at a $180 payout sitting in front of this field. He makes the top side work. He clears for the race lead, and as soon as he does that, the caution flag comes out. We are 5 laps beyond the halfway mark, and we've got some cars in trouble on the front straightaway. The 64 machine of Kenny Kibbe and the 78 of John Fitzpatrick tangle after they made contact with the 67 of Cameron Bolin, and this incident appears to have knocked the 78 of John Fitzpatrick out of the race. Get a good look at it here on the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky instant replay. Contact between the 67 and the 78 sends the 78 hard into the inside wall. Kenny Kibbe nowhere to go. He gets collected, nowhere near as bad as that 78 car did. But Fitzpatrick has already climbed out of that race car. He is done for the evening. A pretty big shot, and he is headed for home. And look at that. We also just picked something else up here, guys. Danny Chisholm was involved in an incident. Dylan Kopak got into that right rear corner panel and spun him around going into turn number 1. Oh, that may have even been maybe a bit of retaliation. You see the initial contact between those two cars in turn number 3. The caution flag flies and Kopak hangs a hard left, spinning Danny Chisholm up towards the outside wall. Oh boy here, guys. We might be starting to get those tempers flared up. We saw No Fougere get some bumper contact from Justin Fuller. Now Dylan Kopech and Danny Chisholm might be going after each other. Oh yeah, this is a short track Friday night all right here, boys.
It is starting to get interesting, and interesting to see. Danny was in position potentially to get the lucky dog a couple of times now, just, in the running, and that's definitely going to hurt his chances. Dylan Kopech up running on the lead lap, but definitely a little bit of entertainment, to say the least, a little bit of fireworks, and will it stop here? Hopefully, maybe, or maybe for a benefit, maybe not. It's going to be entertaining, to say the least.
We going to see some fight tonight, boys?
Hopefully.
I should have brought my boxing gloves. Didn't think to do that.
Is there a wrestling ring here at Southern National, or if not, they got to build one?
Oh, I'm sure it's the Southern U.S. There has to be a wrestling ring nearby. As we're going to restart here with Matthew Barkhouse and Fuller on the front row. Green flag back in the air. Lap 162 now as we fire things off again. And Matthew Barkhouse, not the best of starts on the outside lane. Here comes New Brunswick's Ashton Tucker underneath Newfoundland and Labrador's Nick Codner as Fuller grabs the lead from Matthew Barkhouse.
Justin Fuller showing the way in the Tim's Corner Motorsports 300 at the moment.
Problem at the back.
Caution flag is out again. We've got some cars crossed up on the back straightaway. I think that might be no, it is not the 40-way. It is the 34 of Mike Rhino. So Mike Rhino in trouble on the back straightaway. Mike Rhino was one of those drivers that was off of the lead lap and still is trying to get back on it. That is not going to help his case at all. So trouble for the 34 there of Mike Rhino. Looks like on that one he was an innocent victim as well here, guys. Got caught up in somebody else's mistake. We'll throw up the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky Instant Replay. Boy, what a great sponsorship deal they got on these instant replays. We are mentioning them more than some of these guys even on the racetrack, to be quite honest with you. We'll get it pulled up here for you. You can see Mike Rhino inside of Kenny Kibbe as they go into turn number 1. Keep your eye up in front of him. Contact between Chris Roma and Brad Eddy. Eddy trying to gather it up. Mike Rhino nowhere to go. Rhino helps the 72 E machine collect his car back up, but unfortunately for Rhino, it comes at his expense, and he spins around on that back straightaway and finds more trouble in that Master Can number 34 Rev Racing machine.
Tough break for Rhino. He's had some solid runs in these TCM iRacing events. A lot of damage, and it's not like when NASCAR was doing iRacing back in the spring. There's no quick repairs tonight, boys.
Not at all. These drivers having to deal with every ounce of damage and every obstacle that comes their way. So as this thing progresses, you're starting to see some more fenders getting a little more torn up, starting to look like short track cars. And every time I see one of these races, it makes me wish that iRacing updated the super late model damage model. Some of these cars on the service starting to get the new damage model where body parts and tires and stuff will fall off. This super late model needs it because it honestly looks pretty ugly on this old damage model.
That would be pretty entertaining when we start to see those body panels flying off these cars. I think there would be lots falling off here tonight, especially towards the back of the pack. That really seems to be where the aggression level is highest. As we are getting set to go back green, we got battles up front, we got battles for the lucky dog, we got battles everywhere. As Justin Fuller on the charge, Matthew Barkhouse looking to regain the lead. He doesn't have enough, but he's going to maybe look to pull a crossover, maybe use the bumper. No, not quite. Fuller into the lead comfortably as Ashton Tucker slides in the third. And Steven Matthews, he's been caught up in a wreck or two, but he is in the top 5 looking to get around the 54 of Nick Codner.
It doesn't matter how pretty the car looks. It depends how fast you are towards the end. Steven Matthews, it's looking bowling shoe ugly at the front of his car, but it's still quite fast, but loses a position to Newfoundland's Nick Codner, young driver from the Rock. Right behind another young driver, Ashton Tucker. A few of these drivers, they've had their handfuls of problems so far in this 300-lapper event. Nick Codner's kept his nose pretty clean so far as Justin Fuller leads the field like the Pied Piper. A little bit of a lead now in front of Matthew Barkhouse, but Ashton Tucker from Littleton, New Brunswick, putting some pressure on the young Barkhouse.
52 machine, Ashton Tucker separating himself from the 54 of Nick Codner a little bit, trying to reel in the Celtic Air, number 15 of Matthew Barkhouse for the runner-up position. He's looking to the inside here coming off of turn 4, but just doesn't quite have enough to make the pass just yet. He's got a little bit of space to work with as the 54s. He's about 3 car lengths back as they work their way into turn number 3, so he can afford to get a little aggressive here, and Stephen Matthews is doing that as well. He nearly made contact with the back bumper of Nick Codner's machine, drove it in pretty deep into turn number 3 there. He unfortunately was able to gather it up before that happened, and we continue on here. Very interesting to see some of these guys start to make their way back towards the front. You got Justin Fuller, who's been in multiple incidents after taking the pole shuffle. Ashton Tucker's has seen some adversity. Stephen Matthews has been caught up in a crash or two. Noel Faugier was on the pole, shuffle all the way back to 13th at one point. Now he's knocking on the door for a top 5 spot again. All the enjoyments of a long distance short track race here are starting to come to play. Lap 177 being worked right now, closing in on that 200 lap mark.
Lots of comers and goers in this one. We're going to see more before the end of it, I am sure. But Justin Fuller, he's looking pretty stout right now. Once he got up front in that clean air, that track position, tremendous advantage for him. As the top 10 or so are kind of settling down a little bit, as we may have a battle as Steve Matthews gets another challenge from Noel Faugier. Not quite enough yet. They're going to just sit there and ride it out. And these guys, maybe we're going to see a nice long green flag run with some patience and some nice clean racing for a little bit.
Yes, and pigs can fly, Denver. I'm sure we'll be seeing that here momentarily. We'll see how it goes as, well, there you go. Luck be a lady tonight. There's a caution. Denver, go buy a lottery ticket. It's $41 million for the Lotto Max.
Yep. Definitely not going to win that either.
Well, we got another caution here. This has got to be well over 10 at this point on lap 181 of the TCM Special Events Super Late Model 300 presented by Highway 311, marketed North River, and the Turkeytown Mud Bog with some events coming up next year in Bathurst, New Brunswick. Let's see what happens here for the kick-ass beef jerky replay, Kyle.
Yeah, this one was quite big going into turn number 1. We've got a handful of cars involved, some big impacts, and a lot of damage to some of these race cars. It all started with the 83 machine of Corey Hall. Corey's had a rough night tonight. He's currently 2 laps down, hasn't been able to get any of those back. He was racing around some other cars that are currently off the lead lap, and they made contact, got together in a big way. You'll see it here coming off of turn number 4. EJ O'Rourke trying to make the pass to the outside of the 83 machine. The gap closes. They make contact. O'Rourke gets out of control, collects Richard Drake, makes a huge hit to that inside wall, and also takes out the 34 machine of Mike Rhino. So we've seen EJ struggle tonight. This is not the first incident he's been involved with. It may be the last one because he got a big piece of that inside wall, guys. I'll be surprised to see that car still running under full song after that one.
We had some pit stops. Some pit stops occurred here. Ashton Tucker and Matthew Barkos, your second and third place runners at the time of caution, they went down pit road and they are going to be mired deep in traffic. And I believe Craig McDonald got his lap back with the lucky dog as well.
Pretty cool to see the different strategies here tonight. We saw Mike Rhino and Craig McDonald make a pit stop earlier. They did go a lap down, so they got plenty of time to try and get that lap back. If they get the lucky dog, they should be able to get it done pretty soon. But right now, it's Justin Fuller and Newfoundland's Nick Codner on the front row. Pretty impressed, though, by Noel Faugier, who's been keeping in the top 5 the entire time. Steve Matthews sitting in top 5. And Mac Daddy Keith McClellan also in the top 5. Green flag back out on lap 186. And Fuller gets a great restart in front of Nick Codner.
The battle for third will continue on, going through turns 3 and 4. Stephen Matthews is on the bottom. Noel Faugier trying to work that top side, see if there's anything up there yet. I can see from my end that track is starting to get a little bit darker up in that groove, but hasn't quite been able to come in enough for Faugier to make a run on it. But the caution flag will come out here to end that battle. We've got trouble for the 098 machine. Kyle Gammon, he's parked at the top of turn number 2. He had some help on that one there, guys. Looks like the 72E of Brad Eddy got into that back corner panel and spun the 098 around, put him up into the outside wall. We'll give you a look at it as Paul pulls it up on our kick-ass beef jerky instant replay. Going down into turn number 1, slight contact there between Eddie and Gammon. Gammon slides up the racetrack. He tried to save the car. Kenny Kibbe got into him and finished the job off. Gammon will drive away and rejoin the field. So unfortunate there for Kyle Gammon. Really unfortunate as well for the 72E machine of Brad Eddy. With the involvement, Eddy will have to go to the back of the field. We've seen him up in the front of this race early on. He's trying to come back through after taking one of his sets of tires, and now he'll have some more work to do as this incident will send him to the back. Actually, that's not going to send him to the back, guys. That is going to send him to the trailer. That is incident number 3 for Brad Eddy. He is out of the TCM 300 tonight.
Oh boy, well that'll shake things up. I was just going to say there are 25 cars left, but with that news, Kyle, 24 remaining on track for the TCM Special Event Super Late Model 300. I was going to say, though, Brad was part of the last 3 cautions, 3 or 4, whether directly or indirectly. So there you go, 72 Brad Eddy done for the night. He's going to the big hauler to talk to the big man after the race, or he'll just sign off and go to bed or something. Either way, he has no chance of winning tonight. So that was a contender up in front, boys. No chance for Brad Eddy to get the big money tonight.
Tough break for sure. And he was up front, like you said, Dylan, in the top 3 for part of it. But one of the big challengers is back on the lead lap as well. It appears that the 75 of Mike Alexander, he's led more laps than anybody tonight. He has worked his way back on the lead lap, just over 100 laps to go. He's got his work still cut out for him, but he's got back where he needs to be. As we are coming to green, pace truck off, and Fuller on the hammer once again. What a launch. But Nick Codner from Newfoundland, he is looking to make the rock crowd. He's going to slide into second and try to go to work on the 51 car as they are side by side for third on back.
Nick Codner knows the patience game.
Dylan may have tripped over his microphone cord there. Codner running in position number 2, as he was just saying, trying to be as patient as he can behind Justin Fuller in the race lead, seeing what he can do to close in on that 51 of Fuller and be a bigger threat to win this race. Still some time to go. 195 will get clicked off here. 105 laps left to go, so we're just about ready to enter our final third. Good racing going on here for position number 4. You've been watching it over the last few laps. Keith McClellan on the bottom, Novo Fougere on the top side. A couple drivers that have had some adversity to deal with tonight. And how about that 51 machine of John Peters? Peters, under his first pit stop, made the mistake, got trapped a lap down. He's back on the lead lap and trying to re-enter the top 5 as he looks underneath of Noel Fougere for that 5th spot.
Kyle, like I was saying, Kyle, Nick Codner, he's a guy who can be pretty patient. Apologize for yanking the cord or the cat stuff in the internet box. I don't know, but Nick Codner's really good at being patient. He's won a Talladega TCM race. We'll see if he can do it at Southern National Motorsports Park, Denver.
Absolutely. And it would be very impressive, and you better believe there would be one big party if he could pull it off here tonight. But the battle, Steve Matthews now is going to try to look for second, not quite. It's Travis Roma and I believe Noel Fougere battling hard side by side. That's your first side by side battle. As we continue to click off the laps, we are 100 laps to go. 2/3 of the way through this one, and it's all Justin Fuller and some heavy contenders, Craig McDonald, Matthew Barkas, Mike Alexander. They're all trying to dig their way back up through the field, but they still got their work cut out for them in this one.
We're coming down to the end of the nitty-gritty part of this race. 201 laps in, 198 left to go now, with Justin Fuller in front of the field, Nick Codner in second, Stephen Matthews in third. These drivers may have set themselves up to have a great night by the end, but you never know with cautions and how they will lay out. A driver like Mike Alexander, who dominated the first part of the race, still in 15th at the moment, Kyle. Will he have enough time to chisel his way through the field? But we got to think too, what about that other set of tires? Do anybody on the top part of the track and the top part of the field risk it And maybe we got it here on lap 204 with another caution. Who's going to risk taking a pit stop here?
Well, I was just going back to the 75 of Mike Alexander as soon as you had mentioned that, and remember that little feud that we were talking about with Danny Chisholm and Dylan Kopech a little while ago? Well, that one has reignited, and it has reignited in a big way, guys. Those two have found each other once again. They took each other out, and they're both now done for this event. They have both been disqualified. Also getting taken out of this event because of that incident is the 83 machine of Corey Hall. So 3 drivers dropping out of this event. We'll try to get things pulled up here so you guys can take a look at it. But tempers boiled over between the 87 and the 4. The 87 of Danny Chisholm, the 4 of Dylan Kopech. That eventually had, well, actually, oh boy. Well, now that I got to look at it, that was caution number 3, but this may have been a 3-part retaliation here, guys. You're going to see the battle going on between Danny Chisholm and Dylan Kopech here, and it came to a head when Chisholm kind of got around Kopech, shoved him up the racetrack, and then Corey Hall tried finishing Dylan Kopech off here. So you can see here on the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky instant replay, Danny Chisholm trying to reel in that 4 machine of Dylan Kopech, getting underneath, trying to follow Matthew Barkhouse. There it is. He's underneath, side by side with the 4 machine. Coming off of turn number 4 here. I think it's this next time by. Some good side-by-side racing. They know they've had their disagreements earlier on, but still keeping it clean down the back straightaway. Kopech maybe trying to cut in line there. Little bit of contact right there. Chisholm shoots him up the track, and then watch this. Corey Hall, just after the contact is made, I think he kind of just knocks the KO punch on him. Stuffs him into the outside wall.
Ooh.
And takes out the 834 of Mike Rhino as well. It's worth mentioning that Corey Hall and Danny Chisholm are teammates on the Corey Hall racing team, and it looks like that may have been part of the incident there as Corey Hall cleans out Dylan Kopech. Again, all 3 of those drivers have been disqualified from the event. They are done for the evening.
That is awesome.
That's what we call a run-in in wrestling. Looked like the teammates in the squad and the stable of Corey Hall Racing backing each other up there, Denver.
That was awesome. If you love some good, intense short track feuds, well, we got it right here. That was incredible. I loved every second of that. I don't know about you guys, but a little bit of a development. The leader, Justin Fuller, went down pit road under that caution. So, sometimes those things kind of slip under the radar when you have excitement like this. But, we're getting down 90 laps to go, and the intensity is ramping up. And I don't know if we're done with feuds, but the green flag is back in the air, it appears like. And Nick Codner from Newfoundland is your new leader.
Well, a handful of drivers there, Denver, did make pit stops, including Mike Alexander, Steve Matthews, also the leader previously before we got going, Fuller. And we've got cars wrecking, including Matthew Barkhouse, hard hit with Rational Richard Drake on the backstretch. Another caution. Cautions breed cautions, and man, they're breeding like it's the baby boom tonight.
Some contact between the 15 machine of Matthew Barkhouse and the 36 of Noel Fougier creates this caution flag here. Contact happening coming off of turn number 2. They get collected on that back straightaway wall, and a couple of big shots there for the 15 of Matthew Barkhouse. He gets hard into the outside wall, collects the 38 of Travis Roma. Roma comes back up the racetrack. You saw Richard Drake get involved in that just a little bit as well. Also had, just as we went to green flag racing there, guys, we got another top contender that is going to be out of this race. Race officials decided to black flag the 2 machine of Ashton Tucker for his connection issues. We've seen him flashing a few times throughout this event. Can tell you that Tucker pulled it onto pit road and he has left the server. So Ashton Tucker looking to retire from this event tonight. They're starting to drop like flies here, guys. We're starting to see the attrition, starting to see some drivers pull the plug and leave this event, whether it's on their own doing or not. Got to see there that Mike Rhino was the recipient of the free pass, so he will return to the lead lap now. It looks like we've got 14 cars on the lead lap, and if my quick estimation is correct, I think we still have 20 cars on the track.
That's a tough break for Ash, and I can vouch for him. Me and Ashton are from the same area, and not the best for internet connection, and that would definitely make a 300 lap, like race like this one tough, so a tough break for the two-time 250 champion. And like you said, Kyle, this field's starting to dwindle down to about 20 cars left. Lots of quality cars left, lots of cars that got some damage as Mike Alexander is back down the lap. So lots of developments to watch. This race is far from over, and it's going to come right down to a Friday night shootout here under the lights at Southern National.
Sometimes it's survival of the fittest, and it appears to be the same thing here tonight for the TCM Special Event Super Late Model 300. Night number 5 of iRacing here in the middle of November. And Newfoundland's Nick Codner ready to get another restart. Lap 218 ready to go, and Codner gets in front of Fuller. Fuller was a little loose there on the restart. Man, I don't know how Noel Fugere stayed in the top 5 the entire time, but by God, he has, and he's on the outside. A little bit of pressure now coming from Kibbe there in the number 64 car. Kibbe's going to grab P3.
Kenny Kibbe has dealt with some incidents tonight. He's tried to keep that nose clean the best he can. He's survived it. He's doing a good job. He's inside the top 3 here. Whoa, we got some cars crossed up in the back. The 098 of Kyle Gaiman got sideways. He recovers. We will stay green. Go back to the front here and check out what's going on and keep you up to date with all of that. Kenny Kibbe trying to reel in John Peters for position number 2. Guys, I'm thinking in this last 100 race, you got to the last 100 laps in this race. Whoa, hold up! Craig McDonald with a big slide up the racetrack. He got a big bumper full of Justin Fuller. And now Noel Fugere is sideways. We got guys shoving drivers all over the place right now.
And somehow, someway, we have stayed green, and it's the battle brewing for the lead between Nick Codner and John Peters. I don't know where our good friend Mike James is right now, but if he was here, he would be going crazy for the driver from Newfoundland, Nick Codner. He is leading the way, but all kinds of pressure from one of the best in the business. It's John Peters looking to get to the lead for the first time in this one. And how about Kenny Kibbe? We haven't talked much about him in this race. He is in a podium spot running P3. Noel Fugere in 4th, and how about Justin Fuller after that pit stop? He's back in the top 5 and all over Fugere for that P4.
75 laps remaining in the TCM 300 here at Southern National Motorsports Park. Newfoundland's Nick Codner in front of Peters. We're watching this little battle as we see a few more cars spin on the backstretch. We'll see if that brings it a caution. Noel Fugere fending off the 51 car, Justin Fuller at the moment. There's Travis Roma at the 38 working his way through the field. Stephen Matthews as well. He made a pit stop earlier for some fresh rubbers, and he is starting to chip his way through the field as we've lost a few cars because of those incident points building up, or maybe they were involved in a few of cautions. And look at that, another caution here to bunch the field up again.
We've got a mess over in turn 3, guys. The 14 machine of Andrew Rogers involved. The 27 of Matt Watson is collected. Mike Rhino finds involvement in this one again. He got in it. The Napa Auto Parts machine of Jake Goodwin also involved. So we're piloting a few of them up here at the top of turn number 3. We'll put Paul to work once again on that kick-ass beef jerky instant replay to get us a visual of it. You'll see it start down the back straightaway between the 27 of Matt Watson and the 14 of Andrew Rogers. They made contact, and Rogers went for a spin down to the inside wall. Here they are, coming off of turn 2, side by side. Rogers kisses the wall, slides down into the 27. The 27 spins, hard contact for the 14 into the inside wall, and then Mike Rhino nowhere to go. Jake Goodwin gets collected in it, and I think right there Richard Drake may have just scraped the front end of that 34 car as well. Want to make quick mention here, seeing some cars coming down. Nick Codner is in, Matthew Barkhouse, EJ O'Rourke. Who else is on pit road here? Craig McDonald is on pit road. Noel Fugere is on pit road. So these guys might be coming in for their final set of tires. I was watching during that run, Justin Fuller starting to get really aggressive with that front bumper. I'll remind you guys, this is a no-fault system, and Justin Fuller was involved in 2 incidents already in this race. If he makes a mistake with that front bumper and gets too aggressive, that would be caution number 3, and he may be parked for this event due to that 3 caution rule. So got to be careful with that if you're Justin Fuller. Got to keep that in mind. He's got fresh tires. He's in 3rd place, and I think we're going to be in for one great battle between these 2 51 cars. John Peters versus Justin Fuller. Sign me up.
Kyle, do you have a little bit of a background on those guys for someone like myself who may not be familiar with those 2 drivers?
Oh, absolutely. Very familiar with both of these guys. John Peters, one of the top drivers in the New England, Pennsylvania Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series that we stream most Thursdays and some Monday nights. The defending series champion. He's got a couple wins already this season, and I think he's right up in the points mix already. Will actually be playing their race that they ran last night at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park tomorrow night before our Sim 500 Vidane Super Speedway Series race. And then Justin Fuller, man, where do you even start with Justin Fuller? He has been doing this for so many years. He is a very accomplished oval sim racer, very good, very fast, and looking to be a contender for the win in this one. He's played some pit strategy to his advantage. He's got good tires underneath of him. He's now in P2, and he is trying to take the race lead away. He is looking for a $180 payout tonight if he can win with the extra bonus money added in from the pole shuffle.
And there you see the 251 cars are going to battle it out for the lead and potentially for the win. As in behind, it's Travis Roma. He's up to the third spot. What a move, what a charge for him. We haven't talked much about him either. He's been in the mix all night and now running the highest he has all night. The battle up front continues as Fuller looks to the inside, looks to the outside. He's looking everywhere, looking to find something, anything to get around the 51 of Peters as the caution flag comes back on the speedway. And I missed what happened there, but potentially the 098, potentially Kyle Gammon involved. I'm sure we'll get a better look at the kick-ass beef jerky instant replay.
Yeah, a couple 98 cars getting together in turn number 3. The 098 of Kyle Gammon and the 98 of Craig McDonald found each other. And unfortunately for Kyle Gammon, he got the worst end of that deal, spun around and nosed it into the inside wall in the center of turns 3 and 4. And then EJ O'Rourke also, I think he may have clipped the rear end of that machine and spun. You can see it right there on the replay. Contact between McDonald and Gammon. Gammon slides, noses in. He tries to back up and just clips the 41 of EJ O'Rourke and sends O'Rourke spinning around. So that is why we are under caution with less than 65 laps to go here in the TCM 300. Kyle Gammon, Craig McDonald, and EJ O'Rourke finding some difficulties. They'll slow this pace once again and put that great battle between the 251 cars on hold for the moment.
Something to note, Kyle, it looks like John Peters has only made one pit stop so far. Justin Fuller has made 2 along with Travis Roma. So the 51 car of Peters is taking a gamble here on the older tires. Justin Fuller's got a fresher set along with Roma. Don't forget about Keith McClellan as well. He has made 4 stops tonight. I'm sure just to fix some damage as he has been working his way through the field. 60 laps left to go. Noel Fougier, man, oh man, he has been staying in the top 5 consistently. Another young driver in Nick Codner in 6th. Craig McDonald still in the top 10 in 7th place. Mike Alexander, Magic Mike, he's in 8th. Is he still a lap down or is he back on the lead lap? It looks like maybe on the lead lap.
Scrolling through here on my end, Mike Alexander is on the lead lap, and he is inside the top 10. He's going to take this restart in position number 8, so don't count out that bright yellow and lime green number 75 just yet. He's got a few cars he's got to work his way through, but he could be a factor in this one coming up.
Could be dangerous as we restart here, Denver. Green flag back out on lap 2, 42. 51 and 51 side by side. Peters and Fuller going into turn 3.
There they go, coming off of turn 4. How long are they going to run side by side for? Fuller with the fresher tires looking to take advantage of that outside groove. We haven't seen many be able to use it tonight. He is doing everything he can. He is staying with Peters, and Peters with the advantage this time coming by, but Fuller charging hard. He's getting a great launch down the straightaways using that outside group, but there's Travis Roma hoping these two make a bit of a mistake. This time Peters is going to get a bigger advantage than Roma diving to the inside of Fuller. He wants to move up, and it looks like everyone's going to slide in single file, but this battle's certainly not over yet.
Yeah, that certainly helped John Peters, Kyle, as Travis Roma stuck his nose in there. They all fall in line with the 51 of Fuller, fresher tires on the 051. Waiting to pounce as we're closing in, and oh, Noel Fougier spun out of the back of the field. Oh, is this going to bring out a caution, though? No, it does not. There was a single car incident stacked up a little bit at the back, but Noel Bouchier, heck of a time. He falls from 4th, deep in the field there, so that will mix things up a bit. Craig McDonald in the 98. He is now up to 4th position.
Yeah, McDonald was the one that got into the back of Fujier and sent him sliding. Craig McDonald, without a doubt, is starting to get aggressive. He was one of those drivers early on in the race that got trapped a lap down on his first pit stop. He has recovered nicely. He is up to 4th, and he is taking no prisoners. He wants a shot to win this race. He'll have to wait a few more minutes, though, because the caution flag has come out. And again, guys, the 098 Kyle Gammon is involved. I believe that this is going to be caution number 3 for him. It may end his night. We'll see what race officials do. He wasn't the cause of this one, but he was involved in it. Looks like Mike Rhino and Riley Duncan were the ones that kind of got tangled up, and Gammon was an innocent victim of it. But we'll check it out here on the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky replay so you guys can see it for yourself. You can see Mike Rhino getting into the outside wall. He gets into Steven Matthews. He also gets into Riley Duncan. Duncan gets all out of control, and then Kyle Gammon gets collected and spins around. So again, we'll see what race officials decide to do, if that's going to end Kyle Gammon's night or not. It's been a rough one for him thus far, getting caught up in a handful of incidents. We've seen how strong he can be in some of our previous events and in the preliminary event. I believe he was a top 3 finisher on his preliminary night, so he is struggling mightily right now and just trying to make it to the end of this one and salvage what he can.
Yeah, the sheriff's not having a great Friday night, as he's been spun out a couple of times. We'll see if he gets the boot and has to go to jail and spend the night in the drunk tank. Other jail cliches, as Kyle's having a bit of a rough go, but we are 50 laps to go now, 49 as we tick off a couple of pace laps here at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Another TCM Special Event, Super Late Model 300. As the colder weather settles into North America, we dive into iRacing to get us through these times where we could be at the racetrack. Here in Canada, we may freeze being at the racetrack, but we like being at the racetrack no matter the weather. Rain, not so much, but Denver, you guys did a little bit of racing in the rain this year with your demo derbies.
Oh, we sure did. You know, a little rain never hurt anybody, and it just gets even wilder in the rain. The fans love it, the drivers love it, and I'm sure it wouldn't go nearly as well for these super late models, but that's okay. Don't have to worry about that on iRacing, at least, as we're getting ready to go back racing.
This is going to be a huge restart, Kyle, with 2 of the best in iRacing at the front, as you mentioned. John Peters, Justin Fuller. Peters on the bottom, Fuller on the top. Green flag back up, but keep your eye on Craig McDonald. He is fast in that number 98. Nick Codner in 5th, trying to peer underneath the 38 of Travis Roma. Hold on tight, crack open another cold one. It's going to get real exciting here at the end.
Indeed it is. The battle for the lead continues on. Battle side by side behind them for 3rd place. John Peters showing the advantage. He's going to clear Fuller. Does Roma get aggressive and drive underneath of Fuller? He can't. Fuller will come down to the bottom and leave the battle for 3rd going on behind him. Roma with the slight advantage down on the bottom side of the track. He's trying to clear, but McDonald doing a great job of holding his own on that top side, trying to take away the 3rd place spot the tough way around the top side. Only a few drivers have been successful with that thus far. Well, Riley Duncan is sideways in the back of the field. He gathers it up. Will stay green. Roma sideways underneath the Craig McDonald. He gathers it up, and they still stay side by side even after McDonald touches the wall on the back stretch.
How about Nick Codner? I believe he has some of the freshest tires on the track. He led for a couple laps, and he has already worked his way up into 5th. He is watching this battle between Roma and McDonald very intently, waiting for a mistake to occur. They are getting rough. They are slamming doors. This is short track racing at its finest, as you are on board with Codner. He's going to maybe look 3 wide. No, thinks better of it. And Roma's going to fall in behind. McDonald gets the advantage there as we are closing in on about 40 laps to go, as the battle up front is still Peters and Fuller, bumper to bumper. This is going to get exciting as we close in on the final laps.
a Legends racer, a Sportsman's racer, and a Bandolero driver all together going for third place here at Southern National Motorsports Park. McDonald, Roma, Nick Codner. Don't forget about Kibbe, though, in the 64, and Keith McClellan at the back of this train. Out in front, it is still the 51-51 show with John Peters on older tires holding off Justin Fuller. Craig McDonald's in front of Travis Roma, broken away now. Will he have enough time to catch up? And we've seen a few cautions here tonight, Kyle. Could there be a handful more to really bunch up the field with less than 40 to go?
I wouldn't put it past him. We've seen cautions breed cautions throughout this event, and it wouldn't be much of a short track race if we didn't have a green-white checkered or two to add into it. We've seen a handful of those throughout the prelim nights. We'll see what happens here in the late going, but as we're starting to get some green flag laps in here, guys, I'm starting to see something here with these top two. John Peters starting to stretch that gap out just a little bit, and Craig McDonald is starting to reel in Justin Fuller.
Craig McDonald has been one of the fastest cars on the track in the most recent few laps. Has Fuller maybe used up all his stuff? What about Peters? Peters still only has made the one lone pit stop, but that hasn't stopped him. He's been leading the way for the past 30 or 40 laps or so, and now McDonald, he's hungry. He wants to win. He's going to look to try to get to the back bumper of Fuller. He's there looking inside, just not enough yet. What does McDonald have for these top two in these final laps of this one?
Well, Craig McDonald is the fastest car on the track. 14.635 his last lap time, about a tenth of a second quicker than your leader currently, John Peters. We know Craig's a fast son of a gun in that 98. Just got to get the number 051 in the way and then try and get towards the leaders. We are creeping in. 31 laps to go. A three-way dance in front with Peters on the older tires. Very impressive run, but I've seen Mike Alexander also do the one pit strategy, and he's able to pull it off. We'll see if it can happen again tonight. Oh, Travis Roma!
Trouble for the 38 of Travis Roma. He spins. He was inside the top 5. A huge heartbreak for that driver. He's seen some troubles throughout this race, and now he finds some more very late in the going. And I think, oh man, I don't really know. I'd have to dive a little bit into them. I'm trying to see if he had some help from Nick Codner.
I think he got a little help there, Kyle. I think Codner maybe gave him a little bit of a bump.
Definitely.
I think, taking a look at it myself here, guys, I think maybe Roma just barely clipped the apron that shot that car up the racetrack a little bit. Codner just couldn't find a way to get around him without the contact, and there it is, guys. What a heartbreaker for both of them. They're involved. They both have to go to the back. They were inside the top 5, looking to have something to say for John Peters and Justin Fuller, and that may all be for naught right now.
So as we are going to have about 25 laps to go, the benefactor of that could be Mike Alexander with Roma and Codner caught up on that caution. Alexander has now worked his way into the top 5. No one has led as many laps as him tonight. What does he have? Has he been saving? He went down a lap, got back on the lead lap, went back down a lap, and now with 25 to go, he is sitting in the top 5. I really don't know if you can count anybody out, but certainly do not count out that 75.
Oh, no. He is certainly not a dark horse in this iRacing series with Tim's Corner Motorsports. One of the best in the Maritimes, at least you could even say North America. Mike's got a ton of wins under his belt. He's got fresh tires on the number 75 R&R Kinsman machine. We'll see if he can chisel his way to the front, but we're coming up to 25 laps to go. A little Friday night shootout once we double them up again here, and we'll see if Peters and Fuller can fend off Craig McDonald. Before that caution came out, Craig McDonald was the fastest car on the track.
Guys, I'm over here getting all excited like I'm at an actual racetrack. You got two great drivers that are trying to win this race in John Peters and Justin Fuller. A very fast Craig McDonald is right there, who is going to be a mix. Mike Alexander, after having to overcome some issues throughout this race, he is right there, maybe having an opportunity to reclaim the front of the field. 25 to go on this green flag restart. Who will it be? We are just a few moments away from finding out. Justin Fuller trying to get down in line, but look at Craig McDonald. He's right there. He's trying to block off that advance. Fuller didn't want to fight on the top side. He wanted the bottom immediately, tried to fit in. He does get in 3 and 4, and now will line up right behind the 51 of John Peters. Craig McDonald still side by side with Kenny Kibbe for third. Kibbe not giving up an inch at all. Mike Alexander trying to get underneath of him, as it looks like McDonald's got the advantage. Will he clear off a 4? Survey says yes.
Alexander now diving to the inside of Kibbe. He wants to take advantage as well and follow McDonald up into the top 4. No, Kibbe slams the door going into turn 3. Alexander's going to put the bumper to him and make the pass. Wow, we are getting aggressive. It's go time. There's no time to mess around, and Alexander knew it. He has put the bump and run, the little boot scoot and boogie, and now going to try to look to track down the top 3 as Craig McDonald is putting all kinds of pressure on the pair of 51s up front.
Well, we saw Magic Mike make that big bump and run earlier with Noel Fougere on lap 10. Does it on lap 278. Magic Mike Alexander is in 4th, and he is closing in on the 3-way battle up in front with Peters, Fuller, and McDonald. Oh, a little bit of a kiss with the wall for McDonald and the 051 of Fuller. And boys, if we get a little green flag stretch here, a couple of slow cars could be coming in the way of the leaders with less than 20 to go at Southern National Motorsports Park.
And look who's rolling in, guys. Mike Alexander starting to close in on Craig McDonald. We got the top 4 underneath of a blanket battling for the TCM 300 victory with 18 laps to go. John Peters leads Justin Fuller, Craig McDonald, and Mike Alexander. Completing your top 5 is Keith McClellan. He wants to reel into this group and try to have a say in it as well. Single file, everybody playing nice so far. They're starting to get close. We're seeing other drivers get aggressive with the bumper. When do we see it? How much of it do we see? 16 to go this time by.
The 4 best drivers from this whole race, the 4 fastest cars, they have found their way to the front of the field. The cream has risen to the top, and what a different story for each of these 4 drivers all race long. And right now, John Peters, he's got the oldest tires. He's only made 1 pit stop. He is leading the way, and so far, nobody has been able to capitalize and make a move, but time is running out. This is it. This is the final closing laps as Peters looking to pull away a little bit. McDonald maybe getting a little bumper magic work there to the 51 of Fuller. It's go time. They can't waste any time now. They got to make something happen if they want to win this one.
It's been trials and bump to the 51. Fuller turned around by Craig McDonald. That's going to mix things up here. I was going to say trials and tribulations for McDonald and the 75 Mike Alexander. That will probably throw Craig McDonald to the back of the field along with the 51. Shake up with about 12 laps to go in the TCM 300.
Oh my goodness, guys. Did that just happen? Did Craig McDonald just spin around Justin Fuller? Oh my goodness. I think he was trying to feed in the bumper. You could see that gap between the top 2 start to grow between Peters and Fuller. McDonald knew it. He knew he needed to get around Fuller, but he didn't execute it the way that he needed to. He spins Justin Fuller. Both cars will go to the tail of the field, and that will probably eliminate both of their opportunities to win this event. And look who will join John Peters on the front row for this restart. He's led over a third of this race. He got himself trapped 1 lap down after his first pit stop, just like John Peters did. Took him all race to get back to this point, and he has an opportunity to steal the victory away from the real-life super late model driver, John Peters. Oh my goodness, guys. Somebody go bring me a 5-point harness and strap me into this chair. This is going to get great.
Man, man. Denver, doesn't matter where you are on 152. It matters where you are at the end. Mike Alexander, he was a lap down earlier. Here he is on the front row in this restart coming out.
The drama, the intensity, it's unbelievable. McDonald and Fuller had the opportunity to see a $180 payday with that pole challenge. That may have just slipped away. But for John Peters, this might be the biggest challenge he has received yet. Mike Alexander, the fastest lap, the most laps led. What does he have for the final 8 laps?
Hold on tight if you're watching this on TCM or Vidane TV. Green flag is back out. Kibbe a little loose on the restart. Mike Alexander on the outside. Can the outside lane work finally as John Peters? Those tires got to be blistered. They got to be screaming here at this point. Only one pit stop, and here comes Keith McClellan. And don't forget about Matthew Barkhouse. Where did he come from? 6 laps to go. It's Mike Alexander charging on the outside. Now dives on the inside. Maybe a crossover here, Kyle. Can he give him a little bit of a lick to the stamp at the back of the bumper?
Alexander is laying it all out there. He is sideways off of turn 4 trying to reel him in. Well, we've got a spinner in the back. Caution flag will fly with 6 laps to go. I see Chris Roma around. Boys, I believe we are going to go to overtime. This caution flag should send us there. If it's anything like we have seen throughout the prelims, that will be the first of 5 attempts. We've got trouble for the 198 of Stephen Matthews, the 83 of Chris Roma also involved. Oh boy, we're going into overtime, folks. Check this out on the Kick-Ass Beef Jerky instant replay. Stephen Matthews goes around, Chris Roma gets collected, and then it gets turned around again by Stephen Matthews' car drifting up the racetrack. So a double whammy there for Chris Roma. Looks like the initial contact happened between Richard Drake and Stephen Matthews. Matthews got collected by both of the Roma brothers. Travis Roma kind of finished punting him around, and then Chris Roma, nowhere to go, makes contact, and then gets spun around after the fact. So a couple cars seeing some trouble there. I saw Noel Fougere made a nice little slide to get around it. He will look like to line up in position number 12 here for this restart, so he's got a lot of work to do. But man, oh man, guys, just when you think you've got things figured out as to what's going to happen with this race, you get another curveball to come flying at you, and now you're set with a new challenge to work with.
Speaking of curveballs, we're going to see if we can do something a little bit different here on Vidane TV. We're going to try and do a quick little in-race interview here with the current leader, John Peters. The champ is here. What do you got for him, John?
This has been massively intense, guys. Been trying to hang on these old tires, and I've done it so far, but you just never know with all these restarts. So we'll see what we can do. I think we can do it.
Man, you're doing a great job. We're definitely pulling for you here. A couple of Connecticut guys down here, and a couple of North American guys, a couple of Canadian guys. A lot of bets going back and forth. Hopefully, we got something for them here for the end. Quick words there from John Peters, your current leader. He's got Mike Alexander on the outside. This is, if you don't follow Vidane TV, these are 2 absolute masters of their class. 2, when worlds collide, this is what happens. You got John Peters on the inside, NEPS champion, leading the points for their second race. Mike Alexander wins everything that Tim puts on. This is going to be good, boys.
Without a doubt. Here we go. First attempt at a green-white checker. Lap 300 goes in the books. We'll see if we can make it around. Mike Alexander sends it on the top. He's got the slight advantage coming through the center of the turns, but look at John Peters pull ahead. Alexander will drive in once again side by side, coming to the white flag. They're going to get there. Who will get there first?
Gonna be tough here, boys. Gonna be tough as we have 1 lap to go. Can Peters hold off Magic Mike Alexander? Mike's gonna fall behind. Can he tap him in the bumper? Blistered tires. He's got him, and he's got a checkered flag. John Peters wins the TCM Special Event Super Late Model 300.
What an incredible show here at Southern National. Old tires prevails. John Peters holds off Mike Alexander in an incredible overtime finish. It appears Keith McClellan is going to hang on for third. It was an absolute scramble in behind the top 2. But Kenny Kibbe going to come home fourth, and Matthew Barkhouse going to round out the top 5. What an incredible show tonight. And it's John Peters. The strategy call paid off. Incredible. Amazing. I have no words. That was awesome.
Paul, I know you can back me up on this one. Remember, I think it was coming into this season of the New England, Pennsylvania Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series, John Peters had never won a race on Vidane TV, and it bothered him. He wanted to win on Vidane TV so bad. He has 2 victories this season, and now he wins a very big Tim's Corner Motorsports 300, a group of drivers that he is not familiar racing with. The NEP guys, they showed up in numbers. He was one of the handful that made it, and he took it to all of these Canadian sim racers tonight. He goes to victory lane. The driver has had so much success on iRACING. He has a bunch of success in the real world race car as well. The 2012 Beach Ridge Motor Speedway Thursday Thunder champion. He did that as the youngest champion in that track's history at 15 years of age. He was the 2013 Maine Rookie of the Year, 7 NELCAR Legends wins, and now a super late model winner, as well as a super late model winner in the real world. He's done that at his home track of the Beach Ridge Motor Speedway, and now he picks up a huge win tonight in the Tim's Corner Motorsports 300.
You're exactly right, Kyle. It's one of those things. Yes, it's a sim race. Yes, it's an iRacing event. But one thing you really need to understand is almost all of these drivers race in real life, whether it's Bandoleros, super late models, legends, street stocks, anything, you name it, and these drivers pretty much get behind there. And man, it's been pretty damn fantastic to follow along all week long, all the different names, the personalities, the different racing styles, the different car styles that these guys race. For John Peters to come out on top of this race is absolutely fantastic. And Kyle, I believe you've actually caught up with our winner, John Peters, down there in Victory Lane.
That I have, Paul. You were so evil to him. You brought him in. You put the pressure on him right before the biggest restart of the race. He held on and got the victory. John, I don't even know where to start with you, my man. You ran inside the top 5 throughout the majority of the first part of the race. You make a mistake on your first pit stop, get trapped a lap down, overcome that, back on the lead lap. You left a set of tires in the pits, and you got to Victory Lane. Talk us through the race. What was it like from inside the car tonight?
You did a better job summing that up than I could. That was just such an intense last 100 laps of that race. We had decided before the race to try to make it an 8-tire race as opposed to 12. I thought if I could just save my right front and manage my tires, only pitting once would be an advantage, just because it's so hard to pass at this track. And you're right, I accidentally took left side tires twice. So I took my left side tires, and then the jack went back up and took 2 more left side tires. So that's why I got trapped a lap down on pit road, kind of messed that up. But I passed about 6 cars in 2 laps and got the lucky dog. And then from there, just kept rolling to the front, saving the tires. And based on the pit strategy, I cycled back up to the lead and thank goodness could hold off Justin and Craig and all those guys that were charging on the end with certainly more grip. But just managed that right rear and the right front tire, and we got it done.
John, I want to talk to you about that battle late in the going there with Justin Fuller. I don't know if you're very familiar with him or not, but Justin, very accomplished here on the iRacing service, and he showed how strong he was here tonight. He hounded you, whether it was on your rear bumper, on your outside door panel. He would not go away, but despite the issues that you had on pit road tonight, it seemed that once you were able to clear Justin, you were actually able to gap him once you had some green flag laps. What was it like racing with him, and where did you feel like you had the advantage over him?
Yeah, it was tough, and I've not raced with Justin in the past. I knew he was really quick on Monday night, so I knew he was going to be a threat, but I just knew I had to be perfect. Gripping the bottom line, keeping the bottom closed down, and then getting the forward bite up off. He was getting in the corner a little bit harder, but I knew if I could hold the bottom and back up my entry that I'd pull him coming up off the corner, and he wouldn't be able to drive under me. So as long as I could do that, I'd be fine. But if I had missed the bottom there, any of those laps in the last however many, it would have been game over. He did a great job putting the pressure on, and as I saw him fading back, I was feeling a little bit more and more comfortable about those tires. So I figured I'd just stay out and see if I could hold him off. But you're right, he was a tough challenge. Same with Craig Alexander there. It worked in my favor that they got together at the end, because I think Craig was just as quick as Justin, probably quicker than I was. So glad that worked out. Real tough challenge. These guys were pretty good, and it took a lot of things going right to get this win tonight.
John, I just made mention of it a couple of minutes ago before you came up in here with us. Prior to the start of the second season for your normal series here on Vidane TV, the New England, Pennsylvania Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series, you had yet to win a race on Vidane TV. You picked up 2 wins in that series this new season, and now this win. A special event, a race that you had ran with new competition. You are not one of these guys that races amongst each other on a regular basis. You had some New England, Pennsylvania guys with you, but most of these guys are brand new to you, and there were over 100 of them that you had to best. You did that tonight. How important is this win for you?
It's huge. It's always a good challenge to see how I stack up when I kind of branch out of the typical leagues that I run. You never really know. This past spring, I did a couple different series did the Rowdy Energy series with Speed 51, and honestly got my butt kicked. And then I hadn't done too much special events since then, so I knew that I'd been running well on NEP. I've known Tim Terry for a long time, so when he put this deal together and he was advertising it to us, I thought, well, maybe now I'll give it a shot and see how I stack up. And I think I was probably 10th-ish on practice and qualifying times. I wasn't overwhelmingly fast, but I felt like I had the long run speed over these guys, and I think that's what ended up paying off. So you're right. It's always a test when you come mesh these leagues together and see how you stack up, and I'm pleasantly surprised with the outcome, I guess.
John, one final question before I'll let you give your shout-outs out here. I always like to try to get the real people involved in questions like this. You are a real-world super late model driver. We ran those, obviously, here tonight on the sim, and you're sporting even the same exact paint scheme, I believe, that you run on the real-world car. What kind of advantages does that give you? Do these cars drive similarly to the real-world car? And how many different things transfer from the real world to the sim world with this race car?
There are a few things. I mean, at least just generally throttle control and managing rear tire load is one thing that carries over. So just being easy on the throttle, coming up off the corner, not spinning your tires, especially with the tires we run in real life, you don't want to spin them. And then just the consistency and the routine, racing side by side, knowing your lift points and where you can push the limits, where you can't. It's just the buildup of that race experience and race IQ, basically, would be what I call it. In the series that we run, it's very competitive. It's a lot like this. There's a lot of cars. It's tough to stack up against the guys we run, so it just gives you that competition experience and exposure. And honestly, handling the pressure. There was some pressure here tonight, that's for sure. So that real world experience paid off. But the cars are somewhat similar. There's a few things you can transfer over, kind of like I mentioned, but I think it's more about just generally the race experience that you can use. Works both ways. You can use the real world stuff on here, and you can use the stuff on there.
Well, it was an impressive victory, to say the least. All sorts of things that you had to overcome. You did all of it. You were in victory lane tonight for the Tim's Corner Motorsports 300. Who would you like to thank for the victory? Anybody that you need to shout out? The microphone is all yours to do so.
Yeah, thanks, Vidane. Thanks, Tim Corner Motorsports, Tim Terry. Thanks to the sponsors that put this on this week. I really appreciate it. I got to give a shout out to my dad. I've given him shout outs all year long, but he's been going through a lot the last few months, and I do these really to keep him entertained, and so I hope he's smiling up there tonight in Maine. So shout out to him. Thanks to my parents for watching. Thanks to my girlfriend for letting me do this. Been on here a lot this week. Thanks to everybody that watched. Patty, I got a nice text from Mike Libby there. Thanks for watching, Mike. And then thanks to our real-life partners, Rental North America, Digby's Variety, Libby Septic Service, Turn for Automotive, and Four Seasons Synthetic. Appreciate all that you guys do in making this a fun, entertaining, and watchable product for people out there.
Your winner of the Tim's Corner Motorsports 300 here at Southern National Motorsports Park, a $100 victory, bested 103 drivers that signed up and registered for this race that took place throughout the entire week. The defending New England, Pennsylvania Shift Marketing and Design Grand National Series champion, John Peters, in that number 51 machine. Dylan, Denver, I'm not too sure which one of you is going up next with Mike Alexander, but we'll send it down to one of you guys to chit-chat with our runner-up.
Yeah, sure. I'll talk with my good buddy Mike Alexander. Mikey, you got a copy there?
Still,
Mike, that was a race for you. It certainly wasn't a boring one, staying at the front the entire time.
no, it was a hectic race. I don't know. It looked pretty hectic from where I was sitting. I'm sure it looked pretty hectic from up there too.
Were you planning to maybe lay a bit of a bumper to John's rear, or were you hoping to try and make a move on the outside? What was your thought process in the green-white checkered there?
Well, I didn't have much time up there at the end to see what I kind of had on the top, and I thought if I got a good enough start, I might be able to edge him out, but I just couldn't get him out there, and might have been smarter to maybe lay in and try to get under him, but I don't want to win it by moving the guy.
What happened earlier in the race where you were thrown a lap down? Was it just a little too long on pit road? What transpired there?
Yeah, so I came down the first time, got 4 tires, and I was trying to get all the fuel so I didn't have to come back in. And it was just a tad long on the stop. I got lapped. And then later on in the race, I came down again thinking I'd be smart and take 4 tires, and forgot to uncheck my fuel and got stuck a lap down again.
Back in the spring and summer when we were doing some of these events before the tracks reopened, you'd be at the front the entire time. This is the first time in a while, Mike, I've seen you at the back of the field working your way through. How was that compared to a typical day at the races where you're at the front the entire time?
Well, it's certainly much better just to run up front all day, but I still had a lot of fun, and it is fun slicing and dicing. I don't know, a lot of guys get awfully rough, and I got lucky through a lot of it, but I'll take it.
So, how did you keep busy in 2020, Mike? I didn't see you at the racetrack this year. Were you doing car designs? What busy this year?
No, I just I laid low. I figured I didn't figure we'd race this summer, so I just I slacked in the car a bit and didn't have it ready, and just kind of hung out and slowly picked away at the car. Didn't really rush it, and we'll have it ready for next year though.
Full time next year, or part time, or just kind of see what's going on in 2021?
I don't think I'll run full time anywhere. I'll probably just bounce around a bit, try a little bit everywhere. I like Petty and 660, so I'll definitely go up there. I'm sure I'll get some races in at Scotia.
Always like throwing the mic to you to give some shout outs to your family and your friends. Anyone you want to say hey to tonight?
Yeah, just I'll thank everybody that's watching. All my family and friends. I got Sam, Mom, Dad. Everybody's all watching tonight, so thanks to them, and thanks to the guys at Rev. We had a couple guys in the room tonight helping us, watching out the track for us, and just keeping another set of eyes on the racetrack for us. And so I just want to thank them guys, and Aaron, our kinsmans, and Xander Sign Group.
Wicked stuff, Mikey. Nice to see you race again, and I'm sure we're going to see you here at another TCM event soon. Good job finishing second.
Thanks, Dylan.
That's Mike Alexander finishing second there. And Denver, if we got our third place finisher, let's chat with Mac Daddy Keith McClellan.
Keith McClellan brings it home, P number 3 after a wild race. Keith, take us through that race in your eyes.
Well, you nailed it when you said it was a wild race. A little more rough out there than I would have liked it, especially getting involved in that lap 10 or so incident where I got spun. Wasn't too happy about that, but a couple buddies in the Discord told me it was pretty bad netcode, so we'll let that slide. And then, after that, just charging through the field.
It certainly seemed to be a race of comers and goers. We've seen drivers going back through the field. We see drivers get caught a lap down. What sort of strategy did you come into this race with?
It's funny. I tried to have a strategy going in, and I was talking with the boys at Rev, and Mike's just like, "Shut up, man. We're not going in with no strategy. We'll play it by ear." So that's what we did, and I took right side tires, I think on a lap 80 caution. I went out, ran about 15 laps, came in, got some more fuel, took left sides, and the car just handled like garbage after the flip-flop sets of tires. So I was really hanging on to it there. I know I was trying to make a pass on Noel midway through that race, and with the tires as bad as they were, and I slid up into him a couple times trying to get that done. So sorry to him. I didn't mean nothing by that. And just a crazy race, man. I'm tickled pink to get third. I know it almost didn't happen. Somebody got into the back of me there. I don't know if he got shoved into me or what on that final corner. But drug her to the line and got third. Pumped.
That was definitely a wild finish. Was there anything you could have done differently to maybe give a challenge to Peters and Alexander up front?
I don't know. When Mike got back on the lead lap there, I knew he had a good piece, probably better than mine. So I was talking to him. I wanted to let him have a shot at it when we were 6th or 7th there, let him to the bottom, at least to go have a crack at it with 30 or 40 to go. And I really didn't think I had something for them, but the final 2 restarts there, it was rolling pretty good through the center. And who knows, man, another couple laps, who knows, to be honest with you. But can't complain about third, so I'm happy.
Who do you have to thank tonight for this third place run? Who made it happen on the number 30 team?
Well, first of all, I know the boys are getting sick of it, but shout out to Rev Racing, Mike Alexander, Matt Barkos, Mike Rhino, and we keep saying it, but Ronnie McKay will return. We're sure of it. Shout out to my two American buddies. They're trying to get going on the short tracks, and they tried to make the race tonight. So good practice for them, Joe Stiers and Brian Twinham. And I got a couple buddies out in the living room crushing some beers, and they watched the broadcast. I could hear them yelling all night. Shout out to Chubbs, Morg, and Lyndon out there. Thanks for watching. And yeah, great time tonight.
So where are we going to see the number 30 car on the track next?
Well, I guess I'll run that Tibbs Oxford League, I guess, that starts December 2nd. So we'll give her a go over there.
Well, congratulations. A great run. Keith McCullen brings it home in third place after a wild 300 laps and really a wild week. To summarize it, let's head over to Tim Terry. Tim, you put this whole event on, and what are your final thoughts on this?
Hold on. Paul? You still with us down there?
Yes, we're still there. Where'd my beer go? Hang on. We gotta fire the beer lady.
Mike James ended up not showing up. I think he got lost in George Street. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, there's one. I think Keith kind of hit the nail on the head. There was a couple of more cautions than we anticipated. Obviously, when you get a lot of really good race car drivers in here after coming from 103 all the way down to what we had to 30 tonight, you kind of narrow the gap, and the gap is nil because everybody's on top of each other and everybody wants to go to the front and win the race. So we had a couple of tense moments. First of all, before we get into drivers and everybody else, I want to thank Brent Roy, Brian Nagy, Paige Drake, Pat Healy for helping us this week. Without them, this would not happen. For those that know, I kind of lost my cool little bit on Monday, and we kind of lost a little bit of it later on earlier tonight. So want to thank those guys for keeping me at least blood pressure half low. We've got some work to do prior to the Oxford race, the series coming up. If you are out there watching and you want to be a part of that deal, information will probably be up Tuesday on timscorner.ca, so you can register. It's a $15 entry fee. There's going to be a championship purse on that. Sponsorships available as well, so if you want to hop on board and help the guys out on a weekly basis, we'll have that as well. But congratulations to John Peters. As John said, we've known each other for a while, so it's really great to see him do well. Thanks to Highway 311, North River Market, and thanks to Doug and the Turkeytown Mud Bog in Bathurst for coming on board and being a part of this and making this all happen. I've got a couple of days I get to sit, well, I shouldn't say that. I've got a couple of days after Saturday night to sit back because me and Paul are busy Saturday night doing some NEP stuff and some Vidane stuff. But other than that, going to take a couple of days, kick back, and have some I've got a couple of cold stream clears I need to finish off. Dylan, I left a couple at the camp this year, so I guess we're going to start drinking now.
Hey, perfect time, right? You got to stay home anyways.
Your first night here of the week probably didn't start out the best, but what was your take on the TCM 300 tonight?
Just a classic race where someone like a Mike Alexander gets in a couple of wrecks at the beginning and eventually works his way back up. In this case, Mike had some pit road snafus, but it always comes down to the wire, and that's the fun thing. Never usually a bore by the end. There's always something to mix things up, but a lot of fun. We did a lot of this iRacing stuff back at the beginning of 2020. I was figuring it was probably going to be an entire year of it, but we got real racing this year, but happy to be back here on the computer, though, from the comfort of my own home. I'm only a stone's throw away from the beer fridge, which is pretty nice. So we got some fun racing in tonight, and I get to sleep in my own bed tonight.
Hey, Kyle, I know we were talking a little bit earlier in the race control booth about our next event. We are running Oxford beginning December 2nd, but we're talking about some, one-off dirt stuff, some one-off super speedway stuff. So we might have to pull the headset off you and put you back in the race car. But what were your thoughts on tonight?
Well, if we're going to talk about that, then there's going to be no Mike. It's just going to be all Will. Great stuff tonight, man. I very much enjoyed this race. I was saying to these guys over the air in the lake going, I was literally, in those last 50 laps, I really started to get amped up and really excited about watching the finish of this race. Like I was sitting in the grandstands of an actual racetrack trying to watch this happen in real life. We may have had a few more caution flags than what was anticipated, but I think we still saw a tremendous show. Strategy was insanely important. Pure, raw driving talent was evident, and it created for really everything I think that you could ask for in a short track 300 lapper. Lots of good on-track action. We had some tempers flaring and some people getting mad at each other, which may not have been all that great for you and your team of officials, but all four of us up here were all loving it. It's easy for us to say because we don't have to deal with the repercussions of it all. And in the end, we saw a great battle. Great battle between some great sim racers and a phenomenal finish that brought us all a lot of excitement. And it's cool to see this come and go and be completed. It definitely has a lot of real world feels to me because there's a lot of events that I go to in person that are either week-long events or have 100 and some odd people trying to shoot for 30 spots. It was really cool to be a part of. And the good thing is that it's only early on in the winter off-season months. We can still do a whole bunch more of this throughout the winter, and I'm looking forward to it.
Denver matchup before we close this off and put a cap on this TCM 300 week. Your first week on iRacing, you know a lot of these drivers that have been around here, and those tempers that flared, you didn't have to deal with it from the flag stand, so I'm sure that's great for you. But what were your first take on an iRacing week?
Well, first of all, it's I think Kevin Harvick said it best a couple of years ago. I think it was when Jeff Gordon and Clint Boyer got into it. I like fights except when I have to deal with it. And that certainly was the case tonight. This whole week was just incredible. What a week of racing. I am blown away, truly, by what we witnessed right from Monday night up until tonight. This is the real deal. And it all capped off with tonight's 300-lap finale. And, we had 30 drivers, 30 quality drivers, 30 talented drivers, and we had 30 storylines right from the drop of the green flag. There's going to be a lot to talk about for a long time with this one. You had drivers like Mike Alexander dominate early, get caught a lap down, and come charging through the field. At one point, it looked like we were going to see Nick Codner bring a win home for Mike James and all the fans over at The Rock. But in the end, tire strategy, John Peters makes... only takes the two tires or the one pit stop, and he comes out on top. He really had to wheel at the end. He had a lot of drivers with fresher tires coming on strong, but they just couldn't get around him, and it came right down to the final overtime restart. An incredible finish, an incredible show, and looking forward to the next one. This is just the start of we got 6-7 months before we get back to the real tracks, and a lot to be excited about between now and then.
Well, you have a banquet to plan, don't you?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Apparently, he's got some work to do, Paul, so we'll leave him to it. We are busy tomorrow night, aren't we?
That we are, Tim. We got a lot of stuff going on tomorrow night, and it's crazy because I gotta put my phone down because the race just ended, and the NEP guys are all over Twitter congratulating John Peters about his victory here tonight. Big-time victory here. It's one of those things, Tim, where really... It's going to take a couple of days for that victory to really sink in, because I made mention of it a little bit earlier. There's Bandolero drivers, there's late model drivers, street stocks, every different type of car, from every different type of province, from every different type of state, different racetracks, all sorts of different racing styles. To be able to put something together, Tim, like you've put together here at Tim's Corner Motorsports for these special events that you do, especially here for the Super Late Model 300, is pretty cool. I mean, we had an absolute mixed bag of drivers, of personalities, of styles, this, that, and the other thing. And to see John Peters jump on top is pretty cool, especially since the NAP guys, they run with us here on Vidane TV. They utilize our services, and they're actually going to... So they ran their Thompson race this past Thursday night. We're going to be running the broadcast tomorrow night. Got a doubleheader going on tomorrow night here at Vidane TV. Going to be doing the NEP Casa Grande Builders 75 tomorrow night at 8:15, and then at 10:30 we're going to be doing the Sim 500 Vidane Super Speedway Series race number 2 of the series. Last week we ran 56 green laps. We had 2 sets of green flag pit stops. Absolutely amazing race. And, man, magnificent wreck on the last lap. You don't really want to look for wrecks in the racing world, but if you're going to wreck, you may as well do it pretty fantastic. And it was crazy to see that here on Vidane TV. But then next Monday, the NEPS guys return back to the airways, the Barron Memorial Race. That's going to be at 8:15 on the 23rd. And then, Tim, we got the Oxford Series that's kicking off next week, or the week after next, I believe it is, December 2nd, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, I believe 8:30 Atlantic. That's going to be at Oxford Plains. I believe we're doing 6 weeks, maybe a double header in there. You got any more details on that?
Yeah, at this point right now, we're going to take a couple of days to kind of decompress from this. As you mentioned, there was a lot of different drivers, different personalities, different places coming together and putting on a show. So we're going to take a little while and by a little while, a couple of days, and kind of kick back and kind of get our footing from this one and move on. But yeah, you mentioned it. The next one tentatively scheduled. The first one is going to be December 2nd. It's going to be scheduled right now on Wednesday nights at 7:30 Eastern, 8:30 Atlantic. Open setups. Hour to tweak your setup, realistic weather. So the weather's going to change a little bit. So you're going to have that realistic sort of form when you show up to the racetrack. It could be cloudy and 55 degrees, or it could be sunny and 85. So they're going to have that little bit of a factor to play in to play around with it. They'll only have an hour to practice in the server, and then they'll go racing. The features will be between 75 and probably 150 or 200 laps each week, and I might be a double in there. We haven't really set the schedule down yet, but if you're interested in coming on to race with us, head to timscorner.ca. Probably on Tuesday or Wednesday we'll have that information, registration info, all that other stuff, and then probably kick off on December 2nd. If not, it'll be the next week. But it'll start in December, and we're gonna put on a show and have some more fun.
Absolutely. And sponsorships absolutely still available. Be sure to contact Tim's Corner Motorsports on Facebook or Vidane TV. We're always looking for opportunities to spread the word on your business, your services, anything that you offer. Got a lot of stuff going on here at Vidane TV as we get into the winter months and into the winter, the quote-unquote winter series season here on iRACING. Got a lot of leagues that are kicking on board here with Vidane TV, and a lot of guys that race in real life are looking for something to do because their cars kind of have the tarps on them down there in the shops because, well, everything's ready to go for next year. So we'll see what happens. We got this COVID thing kicking back up, rearing up a little bit here, but we're still going to try and entertain the masses week in and week out here at Vidane TV, and I think we do a pretty good job at that. So do want to thank you guys for entertaining, for letting us entertain you, letting us into your homes this evening, into your bedrooms, your bathrooms, your living rooms, your kitchens, wherever you may have watched Vidane TV. If you had a viewing party, be sure to snap off a picture, post it on the social media, and use hashtag Vidane TV to join the conversation. But that's going to do it here tonight. Here, John Peters, the winner of the TCM 300, the Tim's Corner Motorsports Super Late Model 300. Pretty cool to see John Peters come out on top of all the different racing styles, the different sending leagues here tonight. Don't go too far, though. We're going to be back right here tomorrow night, doubleheader. Like we said, Neps is going to be kicking off at 8:15 with their race at Thompson Motor Speedway. And then at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, the Sim 500 Vidane Racing Super Speedway Series race number 2 is going to be kicking off. We are going to be looking at the 1987 Cup cars at Talladega Super Speedway. And I've been listening to Rowdy West Ho complain about the handling of the race car all week long, and I know Kyle Young can attest to that because he's been in the same group chat. So it's going to be a crazy race. Like we said, 56 laps green the last time. I think it's going to be a little bit less here this Saturday, tomorrow night, but it's going to be some fantastic racing. Be sure to check us out. That's going to do it here for tonight. Everybody here at Tim's Corner Motorsports, Vidane TV, thanks you so much. All of the admins here for Tim's Corner Motorsports, everybody up here in the booth, Kyle Young, Dylan Langell, Denver Matchett, making his Vidane debut, number 2 here, 3 races here this week. For Tim Terry, for myself, Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr., we'll catch you guys on the flip side, and when we do, we're going to be doing it live right here on Vidane TV. Have a great night.